Well, there goes the neighborhood. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to you live on this Saturday, May 18th, 2024, to the 944th episode of the Dave's Gone By Facebookio Podcastio Programmio of the stream with me, Dave Lefkowitz, my wonderful, adorable wife, and Teeth are here with us. Potato, oh, who else? More teeth. Look at this. I guess they're sending in the choppers. That little comedy right there. We have Mr. Rogers, of course.
Taking care is one way to show your love. Another way is letting people take good care of you when you need it.
There you go. Oh, and we do have, of course, we have all four of the rubber flying flingy chickens. Yeah. So we got that. We got it going on, and of course, how could I forget? Potato. And joining us on this particular episode, because I'll explain the reason for this. We needed something aquatic. So God heard me. Okay? God listens. And I'm borderline atheist, but you know, God, what do you need, Ben? God, yeah, heard what I've been saying the last few months, last few weeks about this show. That Maryland is a lovely place, and we live in a lovely suburb of Maryland, and you know, it's 200 miles, something like southwest of New York, a little warmer, a little whatever, but very nice place with a lot of sunshine. Not sunshine quite like Colorado, where Joyce and I used to live. But we get a lot of sunny days, a lot of nice weather, a lot of nice days. And that's fabulous. But every time I would come here this morning, Saturday mornings, to do the Dave's Gone By show for you all, I would have to double back and say, however, when I do the program on Saturdays, every Saturday, the weather decides to be horrible. Every Saturday, because I'm in a room with some natural light. There's windows on one side and windows on the other. So I figure, you know, especially from something like March through October, I would barely even need like a ring light. I wouldn't need this light over here. I wouldn't need the overhead light because there's so much opportunity for light to stream in. However, Saturday just seems to be the one day where the weather is grim. Even if it's not raining, it feels like it's about to rain. Tons of clouds, just grim, dour, depressing weather, or actual rain, or little showers that's going to turn into rain by 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then, you know, Sunday's lovely, Monday through Thursday is fine, maybe one little rainy day somewhere in there, that's fine. And this would be the pattern for months on this program. You've heard me complain about that. Like, I want to prove to you how lovely Maryland weather is. And I wanted at this point even to start doing more shows outside again, because we have a nice little porch with a backyard. And about a year and a half ago, I was doing a couple of Dave's Gone Bys literally from our outside porch. It was very nice. But every Saturday, and here we are, it's middle of May. We're halfway through springtime. And it's still like but God heard me. God listened. And he was like, I'm going to show Dave up. I'm going to make this all different. And so he did. And here's the deal. It is a gray, miserable, rainy day out today. It is. I have everything set up here, but I could turn the computer to the tree outside, and you can see the rain splashing down on the leaves and the branches of the tree. But here's the thing. For 2 full entire weeks, we have had either rain or grim, cloudy weather every single day. So I come out here and I say, oh, it's only Saturday. No. There's been a change, ladies and gentlemen. There's been climate change, global whatever, or just one of those things. It has rained every day, not since last Saturday, okay, when I talked, but since the Saturday before that, when, come to think of it, I was already complaining that it
Yes,
rained
yes,
that week.
Yes, you complained that it was raining and then it didn't rain last week.
Oh,
And
well,
then, yeah,
yeah.
and then it began raining again. Even my mother said, "Oh, it's beautiful here today." Yesterday, I'm like, "Not so much here."
Yeah,
She's like,
no.
"I'm gonna go to the store. It's a nice day to get out." I'm like,
Well, yesterday it was cold and chilly. Did it rain?
overcast.
Oh, it was over.
I think you're. I don't remember when it didn't rain.
Every single day feels like it has
Are
rained.
we living in
Noah
England?
times, you know.
We're living in England.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I like English TV, but I miss the Colorado sun.
This is English weather. That
Yes.
really is.
We need the Colorado weather.
I miss it. I do. I mean, not the big snowstorm that they
I
had.
found this one. You may wanna.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Yeah. So I apologize to all of you that I have been misleading by telling you that the weather here is so gorgeous, except on the Saturday mornings that you see me. No, the weather here sucks every day of the week.
But the good thing is, your navy shirt grew flowers.
This was a black shirt. This shirt was
it had
completely
little
black.
seeds in it, yeah.
And then over the week, it has been like our
Yeah.
grass has actually sprouted toadstools this week. This shirt had nothing on it, and now that was brilliant. Everything's sprouting up.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Speaking of gorgeous, look how cute I am. I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago in terms of an actual company, a local Maryland company that sells meats.
I think you found them at one of the bagel places, right?
Yeah, there's a sign for them.
Yes.
That we
took a
carry.
picture. Yes, we took
Yeah.
a picture of that too.
We carry this brand of kielbasa, hot dogs. I don't know if they do hamburgers or anything like that, but they certainly do dogs and wurst,
Yeah.
right? Ladies and gentlemen, if you thought I was kidding, if you thought I was being, insulting and racist, no.
I can't believe it's real.
This
I can't
is
believe that's real.
Well, we saw this in, was it Giant or one of the
Giant.
supermarkets? They actually carry, this is for reals now, a hot dog made by a company called Pollock Johnny's. Pollock Johnny's hot dogs. And I could understand how this would fly in like 1957 or even well into the 60s and early 70s.
Yeah.
But at the point when they went after Aunt Jemima and like Darky toothpaste and things like that, Uncle Ben's rice, one would have to imagine that somebody
You know
went.
what happened to the
What?
marketing director? I'm going to show you one second. Just
Yeah.
don't go back and forth, okay?
Well, no, I'll stay on.
Yeah.
We don't go back and forth.
Yeah,
on these.
but that's the marketing director.
It'd be hard for people. Well, I can
can make this bigger.
Yeah, I can. There he is.
Give context, honey.
So this is not. I'm assuming this is not what you might think it is. This is not some pro-Palestinian
No.
moron in a green tent, although it is a green tent. There's a place where we go shopping, we get coffee and stuff like that, not too far from where we live. And this place has become, I don't want to say the Bermuda Triangle, but it's become a special place because there's a big parking lot. And in this parking lot, you get a lot of not like trucks in a truck stop, but small vans and things pulling over just to rest and look at GPS or whatever they're doing. But there's also kind of this permanent-ish, what would you call it, van,
Like a
mobile van, filled with not Pollock Johnny's sausages, and not with ice cream, but with what?
I'm reading one chip challenge linked to kid's death. What's the one chip challenge?
I have no idea. Well, let me get on this and find that. But
capsaicin.
It's a van full of lawyers, or at least one or two lawyers. And what they do is it's nice. They go, apparently, they drive the van into the community like a library truck.
We've never seen the van out of
We've never seen it move.
So it disturbs me that, we go there usually on a like
any day. We go on Friday morning. We go out,
maybe on Fridays they park there, but we've never seen the van anywhere but in the parking lot.
No.
That's odd to me.
Maybe it's not on blocks or something. This is a van on wheels that presumably moves. And the idea is they'll go into a community and say, hey, anybody need a lawyer? Anybody need a tax attorney? Anybody need certainly I'm sure there are ambulance chasers. They could literally chase an ambulance in this van. But it's a, excuse me, it's a law van. It is a legal helpline van. Now I presume they drive all the way down to like Baltimore and actual city of Baltimore, plus around the counties, and they'll probably stop at libraries or senior centers or assisted livings and offer their services and advice and counsel, and then of course if you want to hire us. So this van is parked there, right by the railroad tracks, right by where the train comes in. Let me. So all right, and we're used to
But
that.
it's parked like in the back, so I thought it was like a food truck that was
Yeah.
that because that's a place that used to. It has the light rail, but they used to have stores, but they're going to make it into apartments. So it's pretty much like, and stores are going out, so it's pretty much in transition in terms of buildings.
Yeah, the
So,
lot is
yeah,
usually
it's
empty.
kind of quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so they, I guess they have permission, or you might not need permission. They just park
I
there.
would think you
lawyer
do.
truck.
You can't take like you can't take something like that's not a car and like you can't take a camper and park it in a parking lot overnight.
I don't know.
I
I don't know.
They have that little security van that usually parks next to us all the time. Why doesn't they? Why
Well, no,
doesn't-
that's in the other.
it's the same complex.
Oh,
That's the same. Their parking lots.
yeah, but we don't see the security van in that
No.
section ever. We see it in the other
But
one.
we do see a truck that says security there.
Oh, do we? All right.
Yeah.
So they have that, and then this last time, as my wife just showed us, there was this new wrinkle. There's somebody right by the same railroad tracks,
Mhm.
maybe like 300 yards, 600 yards away from the lawyer van, is a person who decided, hey, it's been really, really rainy, so perhaps living on the street is not for me. Let me just get myself a nice little tent,
Yeah.
and I'm going to stay in it. and we didn't go near it. It's not like I wanted to sort of look through and say, hey, who's in there?
I know.
Oh no, I'll double back on that. I do want to look through and go who's in there, but I'm not going to because I don't quite want to know.
Oh, and talk about what we got for gratis.
Oh, that's very nice.
Yeah,
Tell.
that's related to their usage.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, yeah, it kind of is. So this happened yesterday. We saw literally a man. What if this becomes an actual tent city that isn't like student protesters, but
I
it's
think
just homeless
it was
people?
Just near I think he's doing it because it's near the train. It's quiet. I mean, it's very quiet there. I like the
Yeah.
energy. It's a quiet. It's not hustle bustle. Like not a lot of cars parked there. The people who park there work in the stores. It's not like.
Yeah.
I don't, and maybe because it's a little bit of a walk to get to the stores, but a lot of customers don't park there. It's mostly the people who work in the stores. So
Right,
it's
yeah.
not a
It's not-
high traffic area. It's pretty quiet.
Yeah. Remember, we're in the side, the
You were
lot
saying
behind the
you might
big
be one
lot.
of the lawyers for the law van who just missed his couldn't get an Uber. Right?
But and she's and even the fact that it's right next to a railroad track, but it's a light rail. You can't even hear it. It
No
goes those
way.
2 cars
Yeah.
and it's gone. Unlike Long Island Railroad, it's like 9
God,
cars and they
no,
and you hear
no.
chunk, 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 right.
It's very quiet.
But so we go there, we park there, and we do, then we walk, a little extra to get up to where we buy coffee. So we go for coffee yesterday. I Joyce goes for tea. I go for the Java. And it's this nice little coffee shop. Pricey as all coffee shops are, but we go in there and I'm like, ooh, they have chicken pot pie. This is fun. Yeah, I like pot pies. It's my thing. I like the mix of the crust and the dough and she doesn't want food. She just goes for like tea and she buys honey there. But I'll sometimes have their coffee because they have different types like
You can make your own. That's what I
cinnamon,
love, yeah.
Java,
They
cardamom.
had a chocolate one. The guy was
Yeah.
waiting for a celebration or one thing, and they wouldn't refill it. He kept asking me. He's like, "When are they going to bring out the whatever?" I'm like,
It had buttercream in it.
"Oh."
I was waiting for that
wow.
too, but I wasn't going to wait. But yeah, so you can make. They give you the cup, and you make your own cup. But they have different spouts. It's not just here's
My
Starbucks
decaf and
Rainfall
or
blend.
Decaf and regular.
Yeah. So I was hey let me have the chicken pot pie, but they had it under soup, and I'm like, is it chicken pot pie or is it chicken pot pie soup?
Deconstructed. Yeah.
Yeah, and they and I'm like, no, I don't want. I'm sure it's good, I didn't mean to offend the guy, but no, I wanted a pot pie. If I wanted
You
mush,
didn't offend the guy because then he said to us,
well, oh, well, yeah. Well, here's the deal. So you know, I don't want. So let me just have a medium coffee, and my wife will have a medium coffee too, and honey, and he's like, okay, takes our card, and by the way, coffee's free. You're just paying for the honey, and I'm like,
he
what?
said no.
What
He
you
said
talking about?
thanks to this something 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 gym, and then we didn't get the full, and then they explained it.
Well, because there were two tables there, people connected to a new gym that's opening up in town. And I mean, this is, I don't know if it's brilliant marketing or ruinous marketing,
Yeah.
but they didn't take over the coffee. They took over two tables of the coffee shop. And like people who go into the bar, they've had a baby, and it's like around for everybody. They were buying the coffee and tea of everyone who
Yeah.
went into the coffee shop,
Yeah.
presumably from like 8 or 9 a.m. until
Yeah.
11 or 12.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine how much that would cost. And this was not a chain. This was not suddenly
No.
like LA Fitness opening
no,
up.
No. They're a chain, but they're in Jersey.
Oh,
so
true.
it's a
True.
regional chain.
Yeah, they're not huge, but you're right.
No,
They do have a parent company that's.
Yeah.
But even if you made a deal with a coffee shop, I mean, it's like, you know, we're not
Well, they
paying
do
$4
that with,
per person.
So a lot of, when I was in Colorado, there were a lot of like fundraisers. Like you go to Chipotle or something, and you go between like 5 p.m. and 9, whatever,
Yeah.
and you say that you give a code, and then they give it's the reverse where the company gives money to a charity during that time.
Oh, they're fine.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
That's the reverse of this.
Yeah, this was this company, this nascent company opening up a store, a gym, personal training.
And it was also interesting because on the way there we saw what do you call it? A thoroughbred racehorse.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that was like, it was such a weird day.
It's been a weird fucking week.
We had the tent.
Yeah.
We had the racehorse.
We have never seen horses.
And it did say though that they do have thoroughbred racing.
Yeah.
But in August or something, it's like way
they were
off
training.
season.
There wasn't a race going on,
No.
but
Yeah, but he was going around.
they were training thoroughbreds to do the track
Yes.
at the local fairgrounds. So I was like, oh my god, choice round. Oh my god,
I was
horses.
like, because in Colorado, where animals are more common, and when we used to take our dogs to the big vet, we'd see, like, my friend liked big animals, so we go out and see llamas and horses and emu and cows, and, you know.
When we lived in Colorado, there were people who had horses in the backyard.
Yeah, we saw an impacted chicken, and my yoga friend, she had a miniature horse and a Clydesdale, and she would have in the back of her car, like, a horse chow.
I assume it's like a BW.
No,
yeah.
Purina horse chow. And I would laugh, and I'm like, they make horse chow? She's like, yeah, horse chow.
And Purina dead baboon chow.
But we never saw, isn't that funny? Like, what a combination. And then we got the free drink.
Yeah, well, we were very grateful. I was like, because, I mean, I wonder if they make a deal like, we'll put $1 or $1.50 towards every, well, you can't charge $4 and we'll pay that.
But they can't say that. They said that that organization or company is going to cover the drinks. They wouldn't lie.
No. But I'm saying, in order to do that, if I were the company, I would call up the local coffee shop and say, "What deal can you give us if we pay you X amount and we'll cover all the drinks?"
They're not going to take a loss.
No. Well, who won't?
The coffee shop's not going to.
No. But at the same time, if you buy a $4 cup of coffee, it probably costs them 70 cents.
No, but I'm sure they're going to charge the market. I don't know.
I don't know. It would be.
Where did I put your phone?
My phone's here.
I'll take your phone.
I just can't imagine if there's 500 people.
I'm gonna ask.
Yeah.
I have the thing about a 14-year-old who died of eating a spicy tortilla chip in some challenge. Remember capsaicin? Our friend ate it.
Yeah.
Somebody died by eating it.
Whoa.
Let me find.
Wow.
What am I looking at? If I want to buy the drinks at a coffee shop for my company as an endorsement, how much does it cost? What is the markup on coffee drinks? 80%. Woo!
Yeah. 80%. When they hand you a cup of hot
Let me
or
just
cold
ask someone
beverage. Yeah.
I want to advertise at your coffee shop and pay for customers' drinks. How do I do it?
Oh. I'm just saying I would make a deal with the owners of the coffee shop. and say either give them a flat lump sum for the time, or say everyone who buys a coffee will reimburse $1 or $1.50, where the coffee shop doesn't lose any money, and people also might buy still food because they serve sandwiches.
Oh
and things.
yeah, but yeah.
And then the company, I guess it's direct CPM. They instead
I
of
don't understand it. I mean, I'm not a
Yeah.
thing.
but instead of taking out a banner ad on a website or putting things in magazines or whatever, where you're trying to guesstimate, and the advertising salespeople are figuring, well, it's this to reach, and this is what I did at Playboy magazine.
Yeah.
It's like this to reach this many thousand people, and it cost effective this way. And it's like everyone who comes into that coffee shop and buys a drink, maybe sits there and drinks it, or they're going to know that this new fitness center, and we're handing out cards and we're saying hi to the people,
But
is coming in.
what I don't get is they're doing that in an alley where there's like a strength gym, a yoga gym, a Pilates gym, a fitness gym. So they're doing it in a corridor where those factory-like buildings. There's 5 gyms there
Yeah.
already.
Yeah, I don't understand.
I don't know
really,
the, yeah.
literally, we saw that they're building.
Yes.
Now it's a personal training thing
Yeah.
as much as opposed to
Yeah.
just a
Yeah.
Jack LaLanne
Yeah,
gym.
yeah.
But still, you see the strip of stores that they have, like a Baja Taco and
Yeah, like an outdoor mall.
and the bottom has a gym, and they're
No, that's
building.
them. No,
Oh,
the bottom
they're
is
building the
me.
bottom. The upstairs, you go up the stairs.
Yes.
There's a gym, and underneath they're building a gym, and they're not connected. It's not like
Maybe
one
they
company.
feel they'll get people from that gym. I don't know how. It works.
You know, if I were a cheapskate, which I am, and I wanted to save money, what I would do is I wouldn't take a membership to either place. I would just go up and down the stairs 50 times, going from this gym to that gym, back up the stairs,
That
you know,
should
in
work out.
repetitions, trying running up the
That'd be a
stairs.
workout.
And then I wouldn't have to spend, you know, $600 a month or whatever the hell it is to use equipment. I would just be like, oh, whew, I'm winded. and that would be it. So,
Yeah.
but it was very nice. We thank, and
Well, the guy was lovely.
I apologize for not giving the name of the new gym. I don't remember what the hell it was.
We have the cards,
Yeah.
but I can't.
He gave us a
I
card.
can't get it right
We met this really nice guy who had,
Alejandro.
Ali, short for Alejandro,
Alejandro, don't change your name, and so like keep your original name.
with a giant like crucifix tattooed on his
He
arm.
was lovely. He was a good marketer.
So you know,
He
it's not gonna
reminded
be.
me of your cousin Joshua. He had that Josh energy of like, hey, how you
Yeah.
doing? I'm your friend.
I see that. I see that. And he was really, really. Of course, he was really, really nice, and he was a good spokesperson
Nice.
for his brand. You know, you looked at him,
Yeah.
and he didn't look like a Superman. He looked like a well-toned,
Yeah.
healthy individual, young individual, and you know, you would trust him. Like, oh, he's a nice guy. He's gonna whip me into shape in a good way. And look at him; he keeps himself. What was the line we heard? Just on one of the scrolls, either this morning or last night, from someone who works for a gym or something like that, but is not particularly toned.
Oh, they were saying that I'm the chubby hire. I'm the chubby, fluffy gym hire.
The DEI
he was the manager of a
Yeah.
gym, and he said I'm the fluffy, or I'm the heavy set hire.
Yeah, but hire was it was something like along the lines of
can't
it was great. It was a great euphemism, a great synonym. I'm the chubby DEI hire, or something along those lines, which was a beautiful thing because again, he's not your typical. He's not what you
When's
think of
your
a
guest
fitness.
today?
I'm sorry, what?
When's your guest?
Oh, it's whatever. The guest
Oh.
is pre-recorded today,
Okay, God.
which is kind of good. Let me tell you what's going to be on the show then. It is our 944th episode of
Wow.
Dave's Gone By.
Going toward 950.
Well, and assuming we live 1,000, you know, a year and a half
Did
away.
you see that Caroline Montgomery retweeted your?
That was nice.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's May 18th, 2024, and we're calling this episode Playing Tag because
Can I make a thing for you saying, hey, guess what? It's Saturday and raining.
yeah, I would love that. I would love that.
What's on your mind? Do they have one that says feeling rainy? Love, weather, excited.
Weather.
Yeah, positive, tired, thoughtful, sick, delighted, emotional, annoyed, bored,
Wet.
energized,
Humid.
disappointed, worried, super funny, calm, goofy, beautiful. They don't have any like weather-related emojis.
That's weird. Well, of a face thing, they might have a cloud or a lightning bolt. Although it hasn't been lightning and thunder, it's just been
Can I say
rain.
feeling alive or human?
I'm never feeling human, but alive I feel. I feel pretty like, you know,
Feeling,
pumped. Yeah.
There's
But
nothing about rain. Like I'm looking for
yeah.
like.
Well, do it. Can you do a rain GIF? Or, oh no, this is Facebook, so I don't know.
Okay, I'm not gonna do that then. I'm gonna do rain. Okay.
So we're calling this one playing tag because about what was it? Back in 2018, I believe it was. So 6 years ago, I agreed. I was honored and thrilled to be asked to be a guest on someone else's podcast, which was kind of cool. It was called Spotlight on the Arts, or I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Which was hosted by a theater critic and a writer, and now she kind of works in media and marketing and strategy and things like that. Her name is Jessica Taghap. And she interviewed me and presumably ran it on her podcast at the time. And I asked her, hey, if you could just do me a favor, send me the, I'm a hoarder and I collect and I like the history of what I do. Every Dave's Gone By program I've ever done is on the davesgoneby.com website. Not that I ever spend all day listening to these things. I just like that if I ever wanted to, they're there. Anybody else ever wanted to, they're there. My life over the past 21 and a half years. So I asked her, hey, if you could just send me the MP3 of this, send me an audio file so, I can hear it, so that I have it. It's part of what I do. I want to know what I said. And she lost the file, couldn't find it, but months went by, years went by, I almost forgot about it. And then she wrote to me, Joyce just posted a thing, it's raining Saturday in Baltimore, which is raining in Baltimore. Yeah! Little Counting Crows moment there. And she gets to me on Facebook and says, hey, by the way, I found your file. And I was like, you're kidding me. How cool is that? Would you mind? And then a few more weeks went by, she lost it again, then she found it again and sent it to me a couple of weeks ago. So I thank her very, very much. And I thank her for putting me on her podcast in the first place, Jessica Taghap. And I don't think that website doesn't go anymore. She's been on to other things over the somehow I did not make her podcast famous. Somehow she did not make $10 million from having me on her
$10 million?
podcast. All right, 20 million. Inflation's been through the roof. So, but she had the file and found it and kindly sent it to me. I haven't listened to it. I haven't heard it, but I have it. And I thought, since we don't have another live guest today, oh my God, I just realized
What?
the hold on one moment, folks.
You gotta unplug the lamp, yeah.
Well, I just have to unplug this thing that isn't thing and make sure that this is plugged in.
Unplug the lamp or whatever that white cord is.
Yeah, hold on. Here we go. All right, that's better. Because suddenly my battery's down to halvesies. I'm like, what the hell? Anyway, so what we're going to do on this episode of the show, later on in the program, is I'm going to play the podcast interview, not me interviewing somebody else, but somebody interviewing me, which, with my ego is kind of like, yeah. And it's Jessica Taghap. It runs about an hour. And fortunately or not, or unfortunately, it's audio only. So I'll just point the camera at something. It's just an audio file.
Do you have an image of her show or her website?
I have
website?
a picture of her that I put on Facebook.
That's really nice. I like
But
that.
how do I show that while I'm download it and then just have it as put it on share screen?
I'll picture to you, okay?
Oh yeah.
Let's see if I can do that. I don't know what the heck. I know how to do it on your phone.
Actually, I have her photo. Come to think of it, I know you're right. I have her JPEG on my
Just put the
desktop.
photo. Yeah. It's
Open that up and then share screen.
I like the hat. It's the one with the hat. It's very nice.
Yeah.
I like that, yeah.
So first of all, again, I thank her kindly for doing this interview. Now, then that's what's going to be great about it. It's 6 years old. So where was I mentally, physically, back in 2018? I was.
We were in Colorado.
Colorado still. Seems like a million years ago. I was in Colorado. I was already teaching. I was teaching English at a university there. We were living in a townhome. Where was my head? I do believe I was on some level a different person there. Maybe somewhat happier, maybe not person
You were happier?
than I don't know. I've been thinking about that, but I don't know. But different. I've changed in some ways. So I want to know where my head was at,
Oh, you
even
wanted to
as
see a
recently as
version of
2018.
yourself,
Yeah. Because even the programs that I was doing on here, I got, I don't necessarily, I talk about myself all the time, but it's different when you're being interviewed and asked to open up about theater and childhood and life and whatever the hell she asked me. I don't remember. So I'm curious to hear, probably more curious than you guys are, to hear how this interview went. We'll be playing it just a bit later in the episode of Dave's Gone By. Oh, I didn't even bring out Axolotl. That was the thing, because it's been so wet and so rainy every day for almost 3 weeks now here. It is apparently our rainy season that Axolotl came out. And he's gotten wet. He needs a little life above ground.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because there's just so much water. So, he's got his breathing apparatus that he can live a little bit above the water and then go back in. Isn't he cute?
He's adorable.
Yeah. So, anywho, there's that. Also, we've got Bunion Watch, because I forgot to do that last week. I forgot to show you the condition of my bunions. Weeks! It's a little in-joke. And then also Greeley Times, of course. We have new Greeley Times from the Greeley Tribune. We can and the Colorado Limerick of the Damned, where we will be going to Agate, Colorado. It's a little, might be named after a stone, might be named after something else, but it's Agate, Colorado for our Limerick of the Damned. And then we probably do have time if you want to do a word of the day. Do we want to do a Dave's Big Dictionary, or I can do a story time? I didn't really think about this.
I have to look up the word of the day.
Won't it be on your phone?
Go look it up. No,
Or we can do it the
No.
old-fashioned way.
No, I want to see what Merriam-Webster says. Hold on.
Oh, I have your phone.
No, I gotta look it up on the computer, on my Twitter.
Oh, all right.
I'll be back 1 second.
Yeah, no problem. While she's doing that, let me remind you, I mean, I mentioned it before, but speaking of stuff that I did in the past, and I did say that all the archives are at davesgoneby.com. davesgoneby.com. So you can go there, you can listen to our very first episode, which was 21 and a half years ago. Audio only, we were on terrestrial radio, but yeah. And then you can listen to our 301st episode and our 795th episode. I mean, they're there. Except for one or two that got lost in the ozone or had technical difficulties. They're there. So enjoy. Plus, we put all our archives at archive.org. We have a channel there where you can just look for every episode we've done, also every interview that we've done separately.
I found
Archive.
a word from yesterday, which is lucrative.
That was yesterday's.
Yeah, I couldn't pull anything else for lucrative.
You want to do yesterday? Okay, we can do yesterday's word. So, on Dave's Big Dictionary, the word of the day is lucrative. Good word. Good word. What Dave's Big Dictionary is, as you can see, my wife just found a random word. Well, it was random from Merriam-Webster yesterday, their word of the day. Lucrative, which, I mean, we know it means profit making. I just have to, my glasses are here somewhere. Thank you. Let's give you the official Merriam-Webster's definition, which is, la 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 la. It is profitable, as in business deals. It's an adjective. And it can be lucratively, you can do something that makes a profit, or lucrativeness. Did not know that was a noun, but it is an official noun. It meant, wow, look at the rings in my eyeballs.
Ooh.
Lucrative. So what I have to do at some point later in the program, now I've got to turn this completely away there. That won't work. A little flat.
I'm typing it in.
is talk about the word lucrative. Whatever it brings to my mind, whatever, gosh darn, I brought this down. I think I have to raise it up again. There we go. Anything that comes into this crazy brain of mine that the word lucrative sparks up. I've been doing this for several years now. It's kind of a challenge to me to talk extemporaneously about a word that just thrown to me and be interesting and funny and whatever. So today's word is going to be lucrative. Fine. Not a bad one. Not a bad one at all. Huh. So that's what's coming. A whole bunch of cool stuff on this episode of Dave's Gone By. Let me ask you, what else? So we talked about the weather.
I'm going to show you that challenge.
Oh, yeah, the kid who died eating capsaicin?
Well, he didn't eat capsaicin.
Oh.
It's a chip. It's like this contest, it's a, let me see, what was it?
I mean, Dorito?
Oh, it's the Hershey Company.
Uh-oh.
So who's the owner? It says Pocky is a subsidiary of Hershey's.
Wait, Pocky. I've seen those, all right, yeah.
I'll give you the CNN is the full article. But we had remember the theater critic who brushed her teeth with
Yes,
capsaicin
and
because
then
she wouldn't
denied
wear
it.
glasses and then denied it?
Yeah.
She was late to dinner because she basically brushed her teeth with capsaicin. She could have killed herself.
Well, I mean, her mouth probably burned like hell.
But this is like if you have a heart stuff.
14-year-old dies of heart attack
Yeah.
after participating in a spicy tortilla chip challenge. But this is like, the CME, the medical examiner in Massachusetts, determined a teenager who ate a tortilla chip with a high concentration of a chemical compound found in chili peppers
Capsaicin.
died of heart. This was last September, by the way. Harris Wallabaugh, who had a congenital heart defect.
Yeah, but kids don't know.
I know.
I have.
Yeah,
Kids don't know.
It's a one-chip challenge. It's a tortilla chip.
No, but it's right. It's like eating one of those ghosts.
Yeah, the ghost pepper and whatever.
Yeah.
But with both the Carolina Reaper pepper and the
Oh.
Naga Viper pepper.
Hello, it's got the name Reaper in the title.
Yeah, but you would figure heart disease wouldn't necessarily be, I don't know, blood pressure maybe.
I guess it did, yeah.
Pocky voluntarily pulled the product, which was packaged, this is magnificent,
That's what?
in a coffin-shaped box.
Oh God, really?
Yes!
Oh Lord.
That's fantastic. Following Wallabah's death in September.
What's that diner? The one that's like Heart Attack Diner or something?
Yes! It
And
was
they
literally
say,
called,
like,
and they had
They were
waitresses
dressed
dressed as renegades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
The chief medical examiner's office said the kid died of cardiopulmonary arrest after eating a food substance with a high capacity of capsaicin, the spicy, naturally occurring chemical in chili peppers. It ranks just under pepper spray on the Scoville
oh my God,
scale.
under pepper spray.
Yeah. The
Yes.
Scoville measures the pungency of it. Now the Naga Viper, a little less pungent,
Oh good.
but it's still far spicier than a jalapeno,
Yes.
which comes in at about 5,000 heat
Oh
units.
God.
Where, as opposed to the Scoville pepper, whose heat units, it says the Naga Viper is 1.2 million heat units. Jesus Christ.
Did you even know this challenge existed?
No!
Okay.
No. Meanwhile, in the same article, there's a link to another story for people who might be interested. And it says that Panera is dropping its quote-unquote charged lemonade, the subject of multiple wrongful death lawsuits.
Let me see that.
What,
No, I'm always careful because I,
No,
with all my
crap.
health stuff. I know there's something with Panera. It had some kind of
what? Like battery acid? What the
no,
hell?
What do you call the stuff like energy drink stuff?
Oh, caffeine.
It's some kind of here.
Like almost an amphetamine.
I think it says here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, honey.
No, please. 2 lawsuits against Panera Bread.
Yeah.
Their charged lemonade drinks are responsible for the deaths of Sarah Katz, we lost one of ours, a 21-year-old, and Dennis Brown, 46.
With what?
Katz was a student with a heart condition, died from
Yeah.
cardiac. Brown had a chromosomal deficiency disorder
What?
and a developmental delay, and he died of cardiac arrest. But the lawsuit blames the drinks. They're dangerous energy drinks. Panera failed to warn consumers about their caffeine level.
Yeah.
A regular charged lemonade contains 260 milligrams of caffeine.
Okay.
large size 390
What's-
milligrams. The FDA says healthy adults can safely consume up to 400 milligrams of caffeine per day.
Yeah, not per drink.
Well, Panera has added warnings.
But they also have multiple refills. Like,
Well,
what
yeah.
about if a kid got it? Like, I would lock that nozzle because a child could get that. If they just think it's lemonade and they have their little cup, they could be pouring it.
I
into
know,
their
but you
little
know
cup.
what? Then they should lock the nozzles from diabetic children from having Coke.
No, it's different. I mean, if that's so, I didn't think that was so dangerous. Wow.
Who would think? Who would figure? You know, I just there is a certain level of caveat emptor, buyer beware, versus what the company should. If the company is
Oh
packaging,
my God, and
yeah,
we're calling Yogi tea bags for pesticide.
right, for God's sake, yeah, that I'm more. Okay,
Oh
if
my
there's,
God. Okay.
yeah,
It's an immune support tea bag that has pesticide. Like that, you're taking it because you have immune problems and you're getting pesticide.
well, what was how much there was a commercial? I mean, it's just a commercial, so it could be bullshit. But there was a commercial that came up in one of my feeds that said, you know, the thing when you look on the bottom of a can or a bottle of water and it's got that triangle thing for recycling, it has nothing to do with recycling.
What does it mean?
90% of it had to do with what the plastic is made out of, or the alloy it has in it, and it really isn't just this thing that says, hey, it's perfectly fine recycling, because something apparently like 70 to 80% of the things that people think are being recycled are actually not. And the plastic that you're throwing away in the recycling bin is just staying plastic. It's just in a different, like, big grounds fill of plastic, and it's not actually recyclable. So you can't. There's nothing to trust. You cannot trust people. You cannot trust companies. You cannot trust social media. There's literally nobody looking out for you except you. But at the same time, if you have a heart condition and you go to a supermarket and you buy a nacho chip that comes in a coffin, and you say, I'm going to try this, and maybe you figure, if I have just one.
It's probably with social media.
Well, yeah, okay. Remember when we said the one thing about social media that was kind of cool a week or two ago was that Sonic people were putting pickles into the cola?
Pickled lemonade or something.
Yeah, well, they were throwing coconut cream and pickles and
But they weren't putting like excess caffeine.
dog toenails and whatever they were putting in the
And that was some of that hair paperweight.
the fingernail powder. That was, but you know what? I thought that was cute. Nobody's gonna get hurt by that. Or 1 out of 10 million people is gonna. I wouldn't be shocked if when they did the ice bucket challenge or whatever that was for cancer.
I don't know if this is.
I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of people got pneumonia and died from doing it because they got wet and it was cold out and they didn't dry themselves properly, and suddenly some idiot is on the hook for saying, "Hey, spill water on yourselves and take cold, really frozen water. Take the ice bucket challenge."
Here's a nice food thing. I don't know what it is. We've never had it, but
Okay, this is from New York Post. So it's gotta be true. McDonald's introduces a new McFlurry inspired by Grandma. A trip down, and, I guess the McFlurries have been around enough that Grandma would.
Is the McFlurry a shake or is it?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Starting May 21st, the fast food chain has the Grandma McFlurry,
Oh.
featuring, you would find this ageist.
Yeah.
Featuring, what do you think is in a Grandma McFlurry?
I don't know.
No fair looking, no fair checking.
Thailand, maybe some Colace. Colace, Thailand, and maybe
Heart pills.
maybe some calcium.
That's
My osteo.
do you want to take up over the show today? Because this is like your day.
No,
you're
it's not
really
my day.
rocking it.
I got no day.
The fast food chain is introducing the Grandma McFlurry, a sweet treat featuring syrup and crunchy candy pieces,
Ugh.
which the brand jokes is like Grandma's favorite treat that she hid in her purse.
Oh Lord, ages.
You could use, if you're teaching General 101 or whatever it is, blend it into a soft vanilla serve.
Mm-hmm.
Vanilla soft serve. And that's the whole story?
That's it. Yeah.
New York Post is just printing press releases now. It's got nothing to do with anything. The Grandma
So
McFlurry.
there's weird food stuff, I guess.
Yeah, a lot of it. I mean, you start
Some
chasing
people
that
want the
tail.
recipe because I'm looking to see what the top stories are.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of people want recipes for this. Like, I don't know. How hard can that
Well,
be?
I love vanilla shakes and vanilla soft serve.
And the
I
Red
do.
Lobster's closing, we know that.
Yeah, not all of
And
them.
it says no, but it says their stuff is microwaved and not fresh. They say they microwave stuff in there. I was just
Ew.
reading.
The lobster, or maybe some of the other stuff, but ew.
Yeah.
Red Lobster for the reheated seafood lover in you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's disappointing. Except I never eat at Red Lobster.
I will be back in a second.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I was telling you though about the archives at davesgoneby.com. I was also telling you about the archives at archive.org. They're the same archives. It's just if one goes down or the website crashes or something like that, you can always see our archives in the other place. All our shows, all our interviews, all our stuff. Plus, we keep almost all our stuff on YouTube. Some of it got dinged for copyright stuff because we used to play music all the time when we were on college radio. That was part of the show. And then all those episodes with music, because ASCAP, BMI, and assholes make a problem. And we also keep, though, all our audio archives at castbox.fm. Now, this is not for people who want to watch visually this magnificent program, but if you just care about the audio, if you're on the go, you're on a train or driving somewhere, and you're okay just hearing this, because it really is just a glorified audio podcast. Castbox.fm is really good for podcasting. It's really good if you want to just download or listen and be on your way. Otherwise, of course, you can go to davesgoneby.com or archive.org, download MP3s or stream right on your computer if you don't like, if you're worried, I don't want to have anything going on to my hard drive, I get that. You can totally stream on my site without affecting anything in terms of your downloads and your cache and your history or whatever the hell they call it. Plus, remember that our Facebook page, which you are presumably watching now, if you're watching live, they keep automatically all the older episodes that we've done on Facebook have been saved for the past 5 or 6 years. It's just a real pain to scroll through them, but you can if you want to. Just all these different ways of accessing the very same material, Dave's Gone By. Hosted by me, Dave Lefkowitz, every Saturday morning from 9 until noonish or thereabouts, our 944th episode of the show. Potato is excited about it because there was this advertisement in, I think it was the magazine for moms. No, not Growls Market, which is a fairly local market near us, and they have like this summer recipe book, and it's hard to see, but there's a Heinz ketchup bottle right above him under this burger thing. Oh, yeah. And Potato is especially happy because it's one of the rare times where they don't show a burger and the other little strips of things that very often get served with hamburgers that upsets Potato quite a lot. So he loves this ad. I thought that was just kind of pretty. It's a meatball dish. And those are, of course, ribs. Let's all take a moment and think of ribs. Let's see, what else are we going to talk about? Well, when the missus comes back, we can talk about animals, man. We can talk about, this is the thing. I think the bad weather, weirdly enough, brings them out more than in. Maybe not like the heavy rainstorms and things like that, but in really, really nice weather, we get birds, like a birds in the backyard, but don't really see much in the way except squirrels. Squirrels and maybe and bunnies. We do have a bunny rabbit or two. But it's like the grim, gray, rainy weather. 2 weeks ago, we saw we call him fiddle faddle. We saw the groundhog that lives under our shed. Remember, it was a shed out in the backyard that I have not opened since we moved here. I don't even know what the hell's going on in that shed. We're presuming that the groundhog and his or her family has stayed under it and not tunneled up into it and turned it into a swinger's pad for groundhogs. But here's the thing that scares us, and it scares me in particular. It was so great to see Fiddle Faddle again about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, just paddling across our backyard lawn. And we're like, yay, Fiddle Faddle. And he goes under our little shed. Fine, fine. But then over the past week and a half, we have seen it going in and out repeatedly of the same place. I mean, it's like a show now. Foxes. And it's, in one way it's heartening, in another way it's not, because foxes are beautiful, really beautiful creatures. And so we have a pair of adult foxes that live in, the crawl hole that the groundhog made under the shed. And now, over the past week, we have seen the kids. Foxes have had 2 children that are beautiful and cute. And we see them just coming out from the shed and romping along the walking around the shed and checking out the backyard and eating. Because that's what they do. All these animals, from the groundhog to the raccoon we saw, they're just eating, fine. But this worries me, because I looked it up, and I said, well, what eats groundhogs? Foxes do. Well, the groundhog had been living under the shed before the foxes were living there. So I don't know if they did kind of a condo thing where they separated it with the wall. You live this side, we live that side, or if the foxes look really fluffy and happy and healthy, all 4 of them, because they've been feasting on groundhog for a week, or the groundhog's family or something, or the groundhog still lives there, or he was forced out, and maybe he's the one living in the tent down by the river eating cheese. I don't know. All I know is it's great to see the foxes, but I always have this little because I did see last Saturday. I had that moment where it was like I was pulling weeds, because if you let them grow too much, the roots start breaking up the wooden stairs going up to.
I'm looking at foxes and groundhog.
Yeah, fox versus groundhog. What's the deal on that?
Fox's Den is a bar. They have a dress code, a smart casual dress code.
Well, look at them. Yeah, they do.
Wow, man, that's pretty. Reservations?
Really?
Good Lord. Oh, but they serve pizza.
You know what? Even foxes, everybody likes pizza.
Yeah, apparently.
So, but yeah, how are they predatory, particularly for groundhogs?
What do foxes like to eat? It says omnivore, plant and animal.
Well, yeah.
Small mammals like mice, voles, rats, as well as berries, fruit, and nuts. Rabbits, birds, frogs, and earthworms.
Well, they don't mention their groundhog, which is kind of cool. They may be a little big. Fiddle Faddle might just be a little big to tackle.
Oh
but
my
not if
gosh.
4 foxes go after him. What?
No. They're like, what can I feed a wild fox? They're like dog food. Like, really?
Well, all right. Hey, you know what? If we buy dog food and we feed the fox, maybe that'll keep some of our other wildlife
it'll bring
alive.
it here, and then it'll be a whole pack of foxes.
Well, yeah. But that was the thing. I was pulling weeds last week, and then I see this little furry thing not moving, and I was like, oh no, god damn it! It was a bird or something. And I look, and it is a small. I mean, at first I thought it was a mouse, or like a. It didn't look like a rat, but like a small mouse.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, a mouse, fine. But no, you could tell by the feet that it was a bunny, like a little dead bunny. And I was like, ah, damn, it's the foxes, man. The only thing that I'm not 100% sure about is that it wasn't chewed up. There was no marking on it.
Maybe got into something.
Yeah, no tooth marks, nothing ripped from it. Like, a fox is going to kill to eat or to protect itself. It's not going to have to protect itself from a bunny. So, presumably, it's going to eat a rabbit. This rabbit was just like stone dead, lying on like the stone path. And so I was like, oh. But as my wife said, it could have also been he ingested some poison, or maybe this rabbit got into one of those capsaicin chips.
I mean, maybe I think he did. He did.
And had a hard episode.
He looked like he was a young rabbit.
And no, but also it was I had that classic moment in Family Guy where Peter Griffin wanted to surprise his kids with a frog,
Oh no.
and he forgot that he had a frog in the box, and he kept it in a box, and he had a dead frog to dispose of. So he doesn't want to touch it. So he's got like the thing where you like slip under it, but keeps falling back. It's one of the greatest things ever done in the history of animation. It's constantly falling back and falling on the floor, and he constantly has to like slip something under it, and then it slips back. Well, now I'm trying to deal with like what do I do? I'm not going to touch a dead rabbit and just so I have to get like I cover the what's the thing the dustpan with paper towels. Yeah, I cover it with paper towels.
Dustpan?
I don't even remember the closest dustpan I had.
I've used that. You gotta.
I
tell me.
washed it off after.
I don't want rabbit cookies.
There's no rabbit cookies on it. He was whole. There was no blood. There were ants on his eye, but then that was about it. So now I'm trying to scoop on the damn thing. Is like as I push the dustpan, as I push the dustpan under him, it just pushes forward, and so I'm just pushing him further. I'm like, get on the damn pan, get in. So I try, and I do not want to touch this thing, but I get him to a certain point where I'm able to like almost flip him like a pancake. I'm like, oh, and he's on, and he's on, and he's on. And I brought out a little bag and I just scooped him, and probably should not have disposed of it the way I did. I just like put him in a bag in the freaking garbage, which I imagine you're supposed to call wildlife or something for something like that. I don't know. But got him done with, washed the pan. But now when I see the foxes, I'm like, because we did see them last year carrying an animal, possibly a squirrel, possibly a rabbit, like. But in that case,
decapitated. Yeah.
It was a red head.
Yes.
Like
it was the body without a head. I thought.
Because there was a big red spot with a.
Yeah.
When they were carrying it, dead animal. But that they're going to do something with. They're going to eat it and then they're going to wear it, as people would.
No, I'm sure maybe they've got some into poison or got something that was
the rabbit this
pesticide.
time. Yeah.
Got something. Yeah.
But it's so weird how. I was talking about God or something earlier how God makes up for these things. So I see this dead rabbit last week. And I'm like, bummed because it's been a rough, week or two for various reasons. And then 2 days ago, as I'm getting out of the car in the driveway, and I look over on our neighbor's lawn, there's a bunny. And when I said bunny,
baby bunny,
a
a tiny baby bunny.
Bunny.
But it got better because you saw even a tinier baby bunny yesterday.
Yesterday,
yes, I was doing dishes.
And she sees out the thing, she, David, come in.
Yes.
And it was, I swear
like
to you.
This big,
Yeah, like this, like this size.
Yeah.
We've never, in all the years we've been living, all the years I lived on Long Island where we had rabbits.
No, he was eating his food, the lawn.
Yeah, well, of course he was eating. Well, so he's going to be a bigger bunny. But if I tell you, this little tiny bunny creature.
And cutie, his ears are cute.
I was just looking at him and like, whap it. So it truly is a life cycle. You wonder how everything coexists in this. How do foxes get along, and yet rabbits can be in the same vicinity?
No, but also you've been seeing more deer.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean, that you told me too. Where did you see a family of 8? You saw like
the garage.
Oh, I thought. Okay, so you've seen. You saw. Where did you see the 2 deers playing? That was our yard. You said you saw
that
2
was
deers
our yard.
playing. Yeah. I've never seen that. They were young ones playing, right?
Yeah. So we've been seeing animals like crazy,
Maybe
and I
this
love
is the time when their babies are coming out.
Well, the young deer were not children. They were not.
Oh,
They were adult, but they were not.
Mating?
Adults. Oh no, they weren't that kind. They were playing.
Oh.
They were scrambling, but they were not little baby deer. They were kids.
Oh, okay.
Well, no, kids would be lambs.
Teenagers?
I would guess. Young teenagers, perhaps. And then the parents were around too. I never see antlers. I almost never see anything with antlers. But it's always the parents hovering, looking around while the young are playing or resting, just keeping their eyes open. But it is kind of funny. I mentioned this last week. The best place to see deer around here, and at least we're in a suburban area with not a whole hell of a lot of land. I'm sure places with much more acreage see a lot more deer. But if you go to the friggin' parking lot of the university, where my wife and I teach, one of the parking lots looks out onto a very small strip of wilderness. They keep it that way. And like at least one family of deer live there happily. And they're completely unfazed by cars literally circling, going into the parking lot, parking garage, cars, people getting out, slamming doors, saying hi to each other. The people from the university in their vans with the lights flashing, going, but they don't care. They're far enough away, I guess. They've realized that, nobody's gonna mess with us. Anybody, that's the funny thing. There's a vehicle that weighs 2 tons that technically could kill them in an instant. If I get out of the car and start walking towards them, they run away.
Wow.
It's like, they have more to fear from me in my automobile than just this man that's going.
Maybe they
"Hi."
can't differentiate what you are.
Maybe, but at this point, they probably have seen thousands of people, week after week, day after day. Oh, why would they?
Remember the Frida Kahlo one where they wanted a portrait of one of the industrialists and she had him jumping to his death and suicide or something?
Oh, well, here,
Or
check it.
Diego Rivera.
Australia's richest woman seeks the removal of her portrait from an exhibition. This is from CNN Style. Well, style is certainly something. Apparently, the person on my left right now doesn't like, I don't know why, doesn't appreciate this image of her in a gallery.
What's the backstory? Did she commission it?
Well, art is subjective, and while many artists, well, have you seen the not to jump off this, but there's apparently a new portrait, an official portrait of Prince Charles.
No.
That is, it's like, what the
So
hell
you do
were
that,
they
then I'll
thinking?
look for that one next.
Yeah. Anyway, so a painting by the indigenous artist Vincent Namatjira includes a portrait of Australia's richest person, mining magnate Gina Rinehart. She wants the gallery to remove her portrait, that make up a single piece in Namatjira's exhibition, Australia in Colour. The exhibition has been running at the gallery in Canberra
But
since
it doesn't
March.
look like her. I mean,
But here's the deal. These are the other. So
oh yeah.
So these are other caricatures, sort of.
Yeah.
She comes off better than some. Well, worse than most. Worse than most. But yeah. So Queen Elizabeth is on there. Jimi Hendrix is on there.
I'll look up
Which
Prince
one's-
Charles. I mean,
Yeah. I don't even see which one is supposed to be Hendrix.
it's hard to see. Yeah.
I think they have him in his military uniform from when he whatever.
Let me. I'll take him out.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I
So
didn't
look
go
for
like that.
Prince Charles.
Image of new Prince Charles portrait.
Tell me what you think of it.
What? What?
Yeah. Mhm.
Why is it? It's like blood. Is it?
And it's like he's coming out of a pool of blood. And this is a man, by the way, who's been fighting cancer. So
Is this about a blood?
I have no idea
It's
what they're
gotta
saying.
be blood. It's like a. It's gotta be that.
This is. It's artistic. Look at his hands. He
Yeah.
has corpse hands.
I don't know.
Those are skeleton
I
hands.
don't know. Was it supposed to show that he was like sick or bloody?
I'll read the article, but look at this.
I'm gonna. I'll
No, you want to please read the article.
I'll
Yeah.
give it to you, but that's just the picture.
Yeah. This is a brand new, I believe, commissioned portrait of the king. I keep calling him Prince Charles. He's the king. He's the king of England. Has been for
Yeah.
only 2 years or something. And if they're blaming him for the things that were done under Queen Elizabeth and Thatcher,
That's the artist.
A life of their own. When he became king halfway through, that in a way made it more interesting. I was able to sort of see the shift in the body language, and sometimes you sort of talk about these things sort of metaphorically, but actually be able to visibly see someone, gain stature and become more comfortable with themselves is a really interesting thing. You use these and a bit of the recollection of being with them, and what you want is to recreate the sense of being with someone, which is a moving person, obviously. And sort of like a three-dimensional one, and try and show a few elements of their personality, sometimes contradictory ones. You'll pretend to laugh at your jokes.
I don't want to play too much just in case,
I'll find an article about it.
yeah. But okay, so hanging with elderly Prince Charles, older adult Prince Charles, made you think of him coming out of a giant bucket of strawberry lime jello? I can't even begin.
Butterfly.
What?
Yeah, and there's a butterfly for environmental causes. I didn't see it till then. I just saw the. Here, so reread the story.
So the butterfly's
Why
there.
don't you just read?
All right, I
story?
will. Yeah, here we go. The first official painted portrait.
Yeah.
The first official painted portrait of King Charles III since his coronation has been unveiled at Buckingham Palace. The vast, I don't know how big this thing is, vast oil on canvas shows a larger-than-life King Charles in the uniform of the Welsh Guards. But you get the uniform, and where's the wall? The vivid red work, measuring about 8'6" by 6 by 6. What? Oh no, 8'6" by 6'6" is by Jonathan Yeo. He's also painted David Attenborough and Malala Yousafzai. Fine. Queen Camilla is said to have looked at the painting and told Yeo, "Yeah, you got him." In the new portrait, the king is depicted sword in hand with a butterfly landing on his shoulder. Unveilings are always a little unnerving or nerve-wracking for the sitter and the artist. Yeo jokes, "If this was seen as treasonous, I could literally pay for it with my head," which would be an appropriate way for a portrait painter to die, to have their head removed. Of course, that's not going to happen. The Queen dropped in during the fight. Wow, he's been working on this forever. The Queen dropped in. Oh, wait. No. Is Camilla the Queen, or is she not?
No, she's a consort. She's not queen.
Yeah, so it must have been started this when Liz was alive.
He started before he was king, he said. So
yeah. And the king also got a glimpse of it, the king being Philip, who died before she did, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. Right? What was his name?
I don't know.
Queen Elizabeth
Skippy.
and King something.
Philip.
It is a vibrant painting. Yeo said he wanted the painting to be a distinctive break from the past. And he was aiming for something personal. I will say this. He looks, facially, I think he looks really, really, dignified and handsome. I think if the face, I think that's a great face of
I think if
Charles.
they just took the background and made it not all red, it
would be like, what? And it's like an explosion in a bubblegum factory, and somehow King Charles emerged alive.
Well, good for them for getting something different.
Yeah. But it's kind of like, all right, we're not, this isn't 1927. This is the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II by Sergei Pavlenko, which is in Draper's Hall.
Let me see. Yeah, but that's too formal.
Well, yeah, you look at this and you're like, okay, I don't know why she's wearing all of that, but it's a portrait of a queen on a staircase with a red thing with a thing. It's like, I don't know what the R is for, or whatever that
Royal Highness, probably.
Maybe. Anywho, so yeah. So pictures are worth probably 30,000 words in this particular case. How do we get on that? How do we get on anything on this program? Anywho, Dave Lefkowitz here with the 944th episode of the Dave's Gone By program. We have my old chat with Jessica Taghap coming up for when she did it on her podcast back in 2018. We also have Bunyan Watch and Dave's Big Dictionary over the word lucrative, our Colorado Limerick of the Damned for Agate, Colorado, and are you ready for some crime, dear?
Oh, yeah.
Are you ready for criminals running wild in the streets of Greeley, Colorado? It is time for Greeley Times. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Greeley Times. So These come from the Greeley Tribune newspaper, an actual newspaper out there in northern Colorado, real newspaper with a real column that they do every week called Cop Log. And it's based on actual phone calls that come into the police department from people who see weird things happening in the neighborhood, and they want to tell the cops, hey, this weird thing is happening in the neighborhood. The funniest ones go into the paper, and the funniest of the funniest we share with you on Dave's Gone By. And so they're phone calls. They're phone calls that come in. I think our first phone call is coming from Mr. Rogers. There we go. A caller on 12th Avenue said that her neighbors put a listening device in her residence and her landlord refused to do anything about it.
There you go. Well, that's the listening device.
And the police responded, quote, "Ma'am, the neighbors are complaining because you never say anything interesting." So there you go.
That's not fair.
I know, right? But what is it about people who are always so paranoid?
I think I don't know, but it's a delusional state. Like, people feel like people are listening or spying or being watched. I mean, that's,
Yeah, it's a recurring, like people with the tinfoil helmets for aliens.
Yeah.
It's like,
There's certain patterns that people call in with that are repeated.
there's flies on the wall. I was like, oh, maybe, but no. Oh. I'll get a chicken bone on this. Hold on. This is from 35th Avenue, where a caller reported squirrels in the basement and requested information on how to get rid of them. Because, well, police would be the first number I would call to deal with a squirrel infestation in the basement. Again, we do this all the time. Is it the ASPCA? Is it the vet? Is it animal control?
I guess you could call the non-emergency number and ask for a referral, but don't call the emergency number.
I don't know if they called emergency. They just called the cops. And like, Someone on 8th Avenue reported finding two piles of clearly human poop sitting on the sidewalk on the east side of the road.
Oh, on the east side of the road.
Yeah, well, the west side they own. But the east side.
East side.
However, police confirmed the piles.
Oh.
I love it. Police were sent there to look at the piles.
What was it, dog doo-doo?
They said there was no way to tell if it was human or dog without testing.
Oh, God.
Doesn't matter.
No.
Just somebody get gloves.
A shovel.
Yeah, I'll lend them our dustpan. This is just somebody just go take some, and it doesn't just put it in a bag.
Yeah.
And build a porta potty, one for animals, one for humans. Simple solutions, please. A caller. Caller. They're all using different phones today. I don't know why. A caller at an unknown address
Ooh, we get a lot of those.
said there's a big warehouse in Greeley, which there is, JBS and whoever else, that holds $30 trillion in treasure.
Ooh, let's go. Let's go find it.
Well, no, not necessarily because
Why?
the caller said many of her family members have died trying to get it.
Whoa.
But when she talks about it, nobody knows anything, she said.
That's not fair.
She believed they were being paid to pretend they didn't know.
Wow.
This is the next J.K. Rowling. This is somebody who's got the imagination.
It's gonna be the next Netflix jam.
Wouldn't it be great if it were true?
Yeah.
As everybody laughed at her when she said there was
And then
$30
she's
trillion
like,
in treasure.
Then they find it and they dig it up and they find some treasure.
Wonderful. We're doing Greeley Times, ladies and gentlemen. These are phone calls and people, I guess, who drop into the Northern Colorado Police Department to say, help! A caller, again with the unknown location. A caller at an unknown location said her granddaughter, well, this was nice of her. The granddaughter cut off her ankle monitor and was outside in the parking lot. It's like, she does you a favor. I guess she wanted to warn the police, like, if they find her without the ankle monitor. Well, my granddaughter cut it off.
No, I think she meant cut off the granddaughter cut off her own monitor and is outside.
Oh, I'm so sorry. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nana don't be doing no crime.
Grandma cut off her
Yes.
ankle monitor and was no. Oh, thank you, Nana.
Nana don't do no crime.
No, but it's like
Nana's a rat.
she's telling the cops
Nana's squealing.
on her own granddaughter.
Yeah.
What a happy family.
She wanted a Granny McFlurry.
She's gonna get one. They're gonna here. I made you supper, Grandma.
No, here, Grandma, do you have your digitalis and your heart meds? No. Okay, here's a chip for you, Granny. I know you like the corn
And
chips.
she's pouring a Red Bull. You
No,
know.
the
Capsaicin.
corn chip.
Yeah.
The death chip. and if you're thirsty, here's some lemonade.
Right. Yes.
Ah.
Oh my God. Oh. Well, and we always we've been doing these for years, and some of them have repeated patterns. So we talk about the people who think they're being spied on and watched. We talk about the people with family issues and all of that, and won't let them back in the house and things. Here's another one. Here's a classic. A caller, chicken, other chicken. A caller on, where are you? 12th Street, reported a man under the influence who stripped out of his clothes in the middle of the intersection. Why do they always get naked?
Maybe you get warm. I think you get warm. Don't you get hot? Like,
I've never
because
taken
a lot
it.
of people think about I always think of people in Siberia, the stereotype of drinking alcohol to stay warm.
Which
So
is
if
not
you're-
true, but
No,
yeah.
but maybe they're drinking alcohol and you get warm. I don't know. Maybe you dance, you feel warm. I don't know.
I mean, if you're warm and crazy at the same time, I guess you take off your
Take
clothes.
off your stuff, yeah.
But in the middle of on a sidewalk, like in the intersection,
Well,
like.
there you go.
Da,
Maybe
da,
it was maybe it's his job.
Could be. I've been waiting for this one. This one's from 14th Avenue. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, there's a big one. Okay. A caller on 14th Avenue reported a man walking on 2nd Street with a gun. All right, fine.
Then you call the police for that.
Yes, police contacted the man who was just carrying a phone.
God. What?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, phone
Yes.
gone.
Yes.
I'm doing this is a gun.
Yes.
No, I don't have a gun. Every burglar watching the show, he does have a gun. No, but phone,
Yeah.
okay. Pistol, shotgun.
Yeah.
No. And he cursed at police and continued walking.
It's a very different experience.
Yeah. Well, it's like, leave me alone. I was on a telephone. Well, sometimes if you see something, don't say anything. Unless you're 100% sure. And then, speaking of guns, there was a caller on 59th Avenue. That one took a while to come in because it was all the way on 59th Avenue. Said someone in a Tesla pulled a gun on him while he was driving.
May I have your phone?
My
Tesla
phone.
people.
Yeah.
Tesla people don't generally strike me.
I know.
Was it the guy on the phone? The guy's like, can you get a charger for my phone?
Actually, no. You know what? At least, thank goodness, it wasn't one of those auto shooting Teslas.
Oh my god.
Because they can do that now, where it's a thing and it just automatically shoots.
Don't do that.
So let's go elsewhere. We've done a couple of different news stories that are odd and weird, but let's do one more. This is a story that does not come from Colorado at all. It comes from somewhere else. We always do an elsewhere as part of Greeley Times, just ridiculous, weird news from somewhere else in the world. Last Thursday, this is from, by the way, the New York Daily News and Staten Island, New York. Last Thursday, a state appeals court flushed an ex-cop's bid to boost his disability benefits.
Wait, explain. I didn't hear it.
A state appeals court in New York
Yeah.
said no, and the particular use of this verb, flushed an ex-cop's bid.
What does that
To
mean?
they said no. They flushed away. They
Denied
said
it.
no. They denied. Right. Bid. His bid to boost his disability benefits after he shattered a finger
Oh God.
while trying to stop a toilet from overflowing.
as somebody who hurt their finger while eating gelato, you shouldn't be so high and mighty.
You're right.
You know, I mean, you injured your finger while eating gelato.
It was this one or this
I
one.
mean, come on, David. So
Yeah.
you shouldn't really.
I know, but it was.
You shouldn't be like.
But he got injured. Technically, he got injured in the line of duty, didn't he? Here's the deal: retired Sergeant John Marchisotto was on duty in June of 2004. This was 20 years ago, when he tried using a plumber's snake to stop raw sewage spilling from a toilet in the records room of a housing police post on Staten Island. So the guy was trying to save the department money. He was trying to fix something.
But it was at work, so that isn't that work related?
Yes, that's what he was saying.
I mean, I would think if it.
Yeah.
But he's not the plumber. He's the.
Yeah.
Was he the plumber?
No, he was a cop. He was a
Oh.
sergeant, and he goes into the bathroom and he probably smells something bad, and he realizes, there's like sewage. There's stuff coming up from the toilet in the records room.
Oh God.
Back in 2004, which means it would have been full of paper and whatever else, and computers still. So what did he do? And he tried using a plumber's snake to.
Where do you get that? You just have one laying around?
I don't know. That I don't know. Now his lawyer, Rosemary Carroll, said in court, water and feces and all that was coming up the toilet. He put the tool in. His private life is none of our business. He put the tool in, but it was defective, and it just snapped off and broke his finger. Marchisotto, who joined the NYPD in 1992, had been, in this case, trying to increase his tax-free disability benefits from half pay to three-quarters pay. Because he was on, it was the records room, it was the police department. He was trying to fix a toilet problem.
I mean, it wasn't,
with a bad snake.
Did he cause the toilet problem? With the
No, they don't say anything about like that. And Carroll said, his lawyer said, had he not had this injury, he would have been on the lieutenant's list.
Whoa.
Well,
he can't probably shoot.
I don't know which
What
hand.
finger?
Yeah, good point. But even so, with that.
But can't he be a lieutenant and like a detective lieutenant? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. If you rise high enough, wouldn't you need less of your trigger
I don't know.
finger things? I don't know. However, the appeals court agreed with the police pension board
That what?
that using a plumbing tool was not an ordinary job task, and that Marchisotto knew that the proper procedure was to call maintenance.
Oh yeah.
So you want to be the big guy who
Yeah,
fixes things, and you want to he should have just said, "Hey,
Called the
toilet problem."
yeah.
No, I'm not gonna. Still, by the way, but the 38-year-old father of two.
What?
He's been with the department since 1992.
Yeah.
12. That's 32 years ago. He can't be 38. I think what they mean is he was 38 in 2007 when that makes no sense at all. He won a $300,000 jury verdict back in 2007. He said he was wrongly terminated when he complained about a female boss who tried to give him a Valentine's Day rub down with strawberry lotion.
Was this at the police?
Yes!
What's going on over there?
Staten Island cops,
heck?
man!
What the heck?
And when he said, no thank you, that's when he was farmed out to the records room.
That's
Man.
the happening place.
I wonder if the toilet was stopped up with strawberry massage lotion. She ditched the lotion.
Yeah, but you know what you do? I think you do call the.
Yeah, you call the plumber. You don't try and be the hero. I mean, cops want to be the hero. They try and be the hero. But if it's a police station, they probably have a plumber they know who can be there in 45 minutes. Just enough time so that it only soaks the first layer of boxes of records in the records room.
I'm sure they have one time in Colorado. I was at school and there was people that left all dishes in the sink. It was the weekend, so I washed it. but the water wouldn't turn off. So I called. I had to call the non-emergency police number.
Yeah.
And they gave me the emergency plumber. So they have emergency. Like they come right away.
They're cops.
Yeah.
Everything they do is emergency.
Yeah, they have like probably an emergency thing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, sometimes we'll get a clog in like our sink or whatever, and we'll, you know, you'll take the
Yeah.
plastic
No, but
snaky
if it's
thing.
an emergency, then yeah. That's,
But beyond that, if you start having to jerry rig it
was
like
his
tied
finger
to it,
really shattered? Like, was it real injury?
well, he broke his finger.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he broke it. I mean,
That
if you
was
have
real.
the force of,
That was real, yeah. No, because I'm wondering, like,
yeah,
remember our friend who was one Mother's Day and we were in the bathroom and
Oh.
she said she fell in water?
oh,
My mother's a nurse, and she was like, so she took me aside. I said, "What's wrong, Mom?" She said, I was in there, and the way that she fell, it couldn't have been as she said, because they know like what's real when someone falls. She said the position she was in, she just like put herself there, and she said there was no water on the floor, right?
Wow.
So
yeah, no, that person that you're talking
no,
about
but
was nuts.
but you have to investigate claims, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, which is why legal fees are insane and insurance rates are crazy and all of that. Anyway, let's get back to Greeley Times. We have a couple more criminalities to share with you. Let's go back to, let's see, what's this one? We're talking about the Tesla. Oh, yeah. A caller on 20th Street. We know 20th Street very well.
Yeah. It was the big drag.
I mean, it goes straight up to 80th, 90th Avenue, whatever. So 4 young men hopped the fence to the pool area, and they were sitting in the hot tub. I would call the cops. If it were my tub or a neighbor's hot tub, I would.
It's probably the HOA or something.
Yeah, the caller said they were being loud, and it looked like they were drinking. I don't know. If it were my hot tub and I saw other people, I'd be like, "Hey guys, you're drinking all that stuff. You should really have some toast." Just throw the toaster.
Oh, that's the bad summer camp, That's like a really low budget summer camp. Mommy's gonna put you in the hot tub and run. They should just go to the hotel and they have a hot tub.
Well, you have to pay for that.
House party.
Yeah. And now finally, this is going to be sort of a bad pun alert that's coming. It's not here. Okay. It's coming. A caller on 23rd Street said a cat took up residence in the rafters of his garage.
Wait.
You're right. And it looked like it had babies with it. Oh. But I'm saying, hey, it's taking up residence there. Could have been a cat burglar. This has been Greeley Times. On the Dave's Gone By Facebookio Podcastio Programmio of the Stream with Greeley, Coplog and Times. Oh, whoopsies. I forgot to pull the volume up. Excuse me.
Mr. Horace Greeley was no fool.
No.
I'm sure that you'll agree with me that Greeley was no fool.
What he is getting at is that Mr. Greeley was no fool.
Yippee-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi-yi-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi.
Uh-oh.
I wanted to see a picture of of something and look in the background.
Joyce needed to take a picture of her hand.
Something swollen here, but you can show it. But
no, I can't. No, but I can say I can't show it. But
look in the background.
In the background, while she's taking the picture, is Potato with the buck teeth that we put on him, and I give him a little hat. He's not on camera here. We have this Potato here, and we're very proud of that. The other Potato, when he's camera ready, when his teeth really take their proper, I can't show, but yeah. Well, I can block part of that with my hand and just show the back of Potato on our exercycle. Here, I'll yeah. So, I'll do it. So you can see right there, in the background, Potato working out, working himself out. Oh, hoopy doopy, we have fun. Anyway, Dave Lefkowitz here, the 944th episode of the Dave's Gone By show. It's bunion time, because Joyce can't show you the thing that she was taking a picture of, but I can show you the condition. Looks like I have nice big tits right here. If I don't go to my belly and I just go here, it actually looks like my boobs are swollen, which is all right.
It's just the flowers.
I know. But if I go all the way down here, then you see like this thing. And you're going to see my bunions, because many weeks ago, and thank God it's going to start to feel like a million years ago, I started the semester teaching. And the first day of the semester, and I've told this story many times, I wore a new pair of sneakers that I thought I had broken in the week before, but I had not completely broken in. So my foot was rubbed raw right over my bunion. And it wasn't the bunion itself, it was above the toe of the bunion. And so I
Maybe you
thought,
could show this next week and just block out me. And
well,
show
yeah,
the
we can take a
picture.
picture of the picture and just show the potato part. But anyway, I thought I share and I overshare everything on this stupid show. So why not be upfront with you about my bunion? And I wanted you to see week by week how well the wound above the bunion foot healed. And so we kept that going. So ladies and gentlemen, this is our weekly marvelous segment, although we skipped it last week, Bunion Watch.
She's Bunyan, she really is a good one, she's Bunyan. Listen, doctor, to my plea, it's time for bunionectomy.
Bunions, bunions, they're a pain in the feet.
These feet of mine have got to go, please get these bunions off my toes. My alpha foot will always stand for my alpha foot. Bunions, bunions, painful, painful. Bunions, bunions, painful, painful.
Now, I give the caveat every week that thank goodness my bunions are not painful. They're fine. They're happy. They're very, very nice, happy, delightful, loving bunions. But, because they gave me some issues, because my feet are so big and I've got, issues with buying shoes and stuff, that I want to share with you the look, the wonder, the magnificence that is my butt. Oh, I know what I can do. Here's the dictionary for Dave's Big Dictionary that's coming up in a bit. Okay, here we go. Look at that. Look at that fella. Look at that sucker. Let's get the light right on him. Ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. Look how rosy red that looks. If the guy who painted Prince Charles painted my bunion, he would use that color. But I don't believe my bunion has grown, even though it looks enormous, or changed, or become malignant, or anything like that. You can see what it does to my toe. I never really show that. Like, look at how, even though I don't quite have hammer toe, you can just see how my big toe is pulled over into the poor little toe next to it. I can turn it this way, see the vein on my foot. Oh yeah. So that's my right foot bunion. That is the bunion you would figure would give me trouble. But actually, the issue was my left foot bunion, which I can't really show. Oh, look at that. Look at it. There. There we go. And this toe isn't quite as pulled over as the one on my right foot. But ladies and gentlemen, from your perspective, are my bunions the same?
They
bigger?
look great. I think they look beautiful.
Oh.
I think they're very good. I don't think you need that painful procedure they keep suggesting.
This is because we looked up bunions on Joyce's computer probably 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Because we did this, because it was something we were looking for. Now we actually get, I'm assuming it's tailored, or maybe everybody who has a CBS TV free, like, we don't subscribe to Paramount, but there are shows you can watch on the CBS. I'm going to call it an app, but we watch it on our computer, not our phone. But you have to watch the commercials. And the commercials, it's unbelievable. You'll watch 8 minutes of show, and it's literally 120 seconds of commercials. and then 9 minutes of show and like 2 more minutes of it's like but it's free. You don't have to subscribe or anything. You can watch these brand new shows on CBS. So one of the commercials that they play over and over again is this guy saying, hey, there's a new way of doing bunion correction and procedure and removal and so forth. And of course, the negative attributes are that it doesn't guarantee that they won't grow back, and that you do have pain and discomfort. Well, did I mention infection? But the other thing, there's this guy in a lab coat. He's not the guy performing the procedure. He's an actor.
We don't know that.
Really, you think it's him?
I think it's actually him. Yeah.
Wow, the bunion guy, the lapra. It's not. I don't know. It's lapa something. Lapoplasty. That's the word. Lapoplasty.
What's the hot new bunion procedure?
Did they talk about it? All I can say is laparoscopy, whatever. I had laparoscopic bunion hernia surgery, and though it's better supposedly than big wide cuts on you, it was not pain-free. It was not problem-free. I did not heal in 48 hours. It was horrible. But anyway, take our bunion assessment for a lapoplasty. So they want people to go and have this procedure done. And the guy's like, you'll be healed in weeks. And then he gets a little close to the camera like, weeks!
He's excited.
I know, but if you said days, I'd be like, of course, weeks? How many weeks? Like 15 weeks to heal from bunion surgery? That's not a great recommendation.
You don't want to make any guarantees.
Yeah, I mean, I won't mention names, but we have a friend of ours who was getting over it. Both hips or one hip?
Oh, no.
One hip. She has been, God knows how long she's going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess she's getting around a little bit.
They do say, though, that after you have surgery, like if you come in pain, like if people have chronic pain, that you will feel better after the surgery because the chronic pain will be gone. But you have to heal. Yeah. No, but there's an absolute difference if your bunions are crippling you. If you have crippling pain, go do it. But if you're someone who just wants nicer looking feet, I wear Birkenstocks and I like them. Own it.
Yeah, I love my bunions. Velcro sneakers. I've taken shit for wearing Velcro sneakers. It was the greatest moment of my life. For 30-something years, people make fun of this and then one kid, when I was teaching in northern Colorado, was like, "Ooh, cool shoes," and suddenly I was hip. Suddenly, these things that I was wearing,
retro. That's
I was on trend in sneakers that closed with Velcro because it gives you all the room you need. If it's the right sneaker size, suddenly you're not squeezed. It's like, my feet are a little wider, or they're hotter in the summer, they expand. I guess I just won't pull these quite as tight. Or I'll pull them as tight as I want them to be. Velcro is a beautiful godsend. We're thinking of getting, no, it won't be Velcro, it'll be double-sided tape to put a ring on our house.
They'll put up
Oh, you think? Yeah. But oh my God, I love Velcro. And I do not apologize for wearing it now or back when it was uncool.
Now you got no socks or shoes.
Well, I took off for bunion.
Oh.
I may go splash around in the garden in my naked feet.
I want to see about the interview.
Oh, please, yeah. What about it?
No, your interview. I want to.
Yeah.
I just checked your Facebook.
Oh, yeah. Make sure that we're still running. It's, oh my God, it's 20 to 11 already Eastern time here in the neighborhood. We still have our Colorado Limerick of the Damned to go, where we're talking about I have a poem about Agate, Colorado. And then
I want to look at, I was looking at that Ashley Madison hack.
Oh, Joyce has been watching a documentary about how many millions of people.
Who did it?
Oh, did they ever find who the hackers were?
Yeah, what data was leaked, but I don't know who.
Well, everything was leaked, apparently.
No, but who? I'm going to read it.
Like
I
Wiki,
don't know if they ever found
the source of the data breach.
They said it must have been an inside job. That's what they were saying, impact team, but.
I'll bet you nowadays it won't have to be an inside job. Like someone in the middle of Russia or China or Nigeria could just kind of do some hack genius who knows coding could get into Fort Knox at this point, let alone Ashley Madison. So did they say who the Trish is scrolling.
They don't know, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. They caused all this heartbreak and destroying a company and so forth. For the sake of what? You know? That's what I mean, I understand, I don't approve of it, but I understand the idea of ransomware, where you go to an elementary school where children have all this data and stuff and say, okay, give us
But they
$100,000.
didn't make you verify your account through email, so a lot of people said it wasn't me. Somebody put my email address, they used it. Like, you didn't have to verify.
No, but there was a school on Long Island that paid ransomware back when I was working for another district. The district said, you know what, it's not, we're just going to pay them to get our data.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's horrible. It's an unbelievable violation of, and what can you do? Because, you know, you might have to go through Interpol.
No, but I want to figure out who it was.
I'm sure the cops do too. I'm sure the Jewish guy who found it.
More stuff. Go ahead. He wasn't the founder.
Oh, who was the guy with the glasses who looked like?
He was just a media guy.
Oh, all right. Anyway, Dave's Big Dictionary will also have where I will be talking brilliantly and hilariously about the word lucrative. Lucrative. I'm sure I can think of something. I haven't had time to think what I'm going to speak about, which is sort of the point, but I'd like to have at least a bullet point in my brain. So, you ready to take kind of a break, hon? Or
Yeah, whatever
because
you want. I'm just trying
we
to
have the interview.
I'm trying to figure this out. I'm perplexed. You do whatever you
Yeah,
want.
let me get the interview going. And then after that, I'll come back and I'll do Friends of the Neighborhood, our Dave's Big Dictionary, our Colorado Limerick of the Damned, and then we'll call it a show, our 944th of Dave's Gone By. So here's a reminder. Jessica Taghap is kind of a media marketing specialist now. She was a theater critic for Off Online several years ago at this point. You know, and someone whose paths crossed with mine, at least digitally, a few years ago, particularly when I was still in New York. No, I was in Colorado, but I would fly in and write about theater. Maybe I don't even, maybe through LinkedIn. I honestly don't know how our paths initially crossed. But she found me, she had a podcast about the arts and theater called Spotlight on the Arts. And she asked me to be a guest on her show. So I was like, well, you know, I'm media whore that I am, for shiz, please, by all means. And she did. So it was an audio podcast, a classic just words only podcast. Well, I was happy, still happy to be on it. And she finally sent me, she lost it, and then she found it, and she was so nice to send it over to me just a couple of weeks ago. So I'm going to open that up. Oh, no, I don't want to play it that way. Hold on. No.
I'm going to start recording now.
Kayate. I guess this is unedited. Wow. Because I hear tippy-tappy typing that. This is going to be weird to hear, man. So she probably edited this version to appear on her podcast. Because this runs a little over an hour. And I imagine her podcast might run 45 minutes to an hour. So literally, I don't know what she did to edit it. This is raw. I have no recollection of what I said. I know we talked about the theater, but it's going to be as much a wild ride for me as for you. So let me share the screen with you so that I can get, because what I do is I do have a picture of Jessica Taghap. See, there's my iTunes with Bunyan Watch. There's my thing for that. Now, I'm going to put this as open with. How about open with? QuickTime. That's what I want. There he is. Cool. So I've got that going. And now, here's a picture of Jessica Taghap. So you have something nice to look at rather than kind of an empty screen for this whole time that you're hearing this interview with me. I think it's from March of 2018. I mean, it's not that long ago, but it sure feels like a while. Ladies and gentlemen, here on Dave's Gone By, I'll be back live in about an hour. Here is me from 6 years ago. Never played on Dave's Gone By.
I'm gonna start recording now. So basically I got, are you getting me? David, are you hearing me?
Yeah, you're breaking up a little, but I'm hearing what you're saying mostly.
Oh, okay.
Breaking up a little bit.
Okay.
Oh, I hope the audio
So
gets better.
basically, I heard about your show. I got an email through Jonathan Slaff. I've known him for a couple of years now, and so just from the press release alone, it sounded really interesting. Just the fact that you'd been doing the theater critic thing, and then all of a sudden transitioning to, well, maybe not all of a sudden, but transitioning into doing the more of the playwright aspect of things. And
Okay, I'm going to leave you alone, and I will let it play. But this is the reminder. This is when Rabbi Saul Solomon and I were trying to bring back Shalom Dammit, An Evening with Rabbi Saul Solomon. We actually did kind of a little workshop reading thing at the Dramatists Guild offices for an invited audience. And, this is a little before COVID. I think this is where this is going. Plus, I had done The Miracle of Long John's as a solo off Broadway. So she's particularly, I guess, talking about me transitioning, as she said, from being podcaster and playwright to being a performer and doing these shows. Okay, here we go.
Kind of got me interested. I didn't get to see your show, but yeah, I mean, as you know, like I asked if I could interview you because I've been sort of doing the theater critic thing too. Obviously, I've been working part-time at Off Online for the past couple of years, as well as doing my own blog. I don't know if you did any sort of like dig on like sort of what I've been doing, but and I mean, I know you. I'm sorry?
Who publishes Off? Is that Jonathan's thing?
No, Off is we're sponsored by Helen Mills. I don't know if you're familiar with like Helen Mills. She has her own like theatrical space. So yeah, I mean we're kind of small. It was apparently defunct for a while in the early 2000s, and we're trying to like build it up again. And so I think I'm one of the few sort of like people that's come on in the sort of the revival of it. And so yeah, so it's been a couple of years like writing somewhat steadily for it, between that and also my own blog as well. So yeah, so I just kind of wanted to like pick your brain as to sort of how you got started in the whole theater thing, and like, because I guess, I don't know, like from the way how I got into the theater critic thing, like I didn't set out, sort of thinking that my goal would be to write reviews and to write about theater, but that's just sort of how it came that way. So I just kind of wanted to know, like, if you always saw yourself as a theater critic, or if you just sort of fell into it the same way that I did, and yeah, basically how you just started from there.
Well, yeah, this is going back obviously a couple of decades. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, okay, great. So I started actually from the other side. I went to NYU for film and TV years ago.
Oh,
to be a filmmaker, and even more of a filmmaker than a playwright, but filmmaking never really panned out. So I got into theater more because I would go on like Wednesday matinees after my physics class and things like that. I went to the tickets booth, right at the Equipoise and things, and just go see theater, and I got really into it. And then it just kind of went into a couple of different places that, because I've always been a writer, and a place that would give me a column to write about theater. And I said, well, why not? I'm taking this. I'm taking dramatic lit classes. I went on to study playwriting and screenwriting at NYU after my bachelor's. So I thought, hey, let me use this opportunity. They're publishing me, and I can, while I'm trying to write plays and trying to make money in the real world, have a day job, and then let me go to shows. Let me review the stuff that I'm seeing. They'll give me print inches, there'll be people reading what I'm writing. Why not? And I started that way on a couple of little Long Island publications and then tried to freelance to other places and got into Backstage a few times and got into show business back when that was a real thing, and other places like that. Mm-hmm. That was the beginning for the first couple of years.
Wow. So you just basically kind of steadily did that? I mean, I know you also, from what I can tell on your website, I mean, not only do you run a blog and stuff, and it seems like you also aggregate, if I understand it correctly, you aggregate other critical reviews onto the blog. Is that what Criticopia is?
Yeah. Thanks for asking. What happened was years ago, we're talking 25 years ago, I decided to do a national hard copy magazine/journal that was called This Week on Stage. And it was my reviews along with other people's reviews from around the country. They would just submit to this magazine. It was basically, it was in a desktop. It was basically almost a Xerox sort of thing. But, and then that became a little unwieldy to put out every week. So I turned it to a month. I called it This Month on Stage. And it was just hugely thick. It was sometimes like 90 pages.
Wow.
My reviews, everybody's reviews. What happened is we publish reviews, and then as long as the show was still running, we keep the review in there until it closed. So it just got thicker and thicker every month, and it was, we didn't have the subscriptions to pay for the cost of actually printing and mailing it, and printing and mailing was cheaper back then. So finally, I just said, I'm going to give that up. I'd like to think let me just go online, because now we're getting into the late 1990s. Let me quit it. Let me stop. Let me do a website of it instead. I'll post my reviews there. I'll post other people's reviews there too. And that was the founding of TotalTheater.com, which is aggregator. It's not aggregating necessarily from other places. I mean, a lot of the writers write for TotalTheater.com, but we also offer theater critics, if they have the rights to their work and they want their reviews not just in the original place that they published, but if the original place says, hey, it's okay, we can syndicate them. We don't have the rights. You got first rights.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's great.
So, so Criticopia that you mentioned is a section of TotalTheater.com. You go to the Criticopia section, and that's where Broadway, off-Broadway, and off-Broadway, regional theater, and international reside.
Right.
And then there's another section for our criticals and interviews.
Oh, okay.
And so, but the thing was, in the middle of, a year after I got out of the print business and just did the website, a close friend of mine named Richmond Shepard, you may have heard of him, he used to own a theater off-Broadway. And he used to own a bunch of theaters in L.A. 30 years ago. He was also publishing at that point a hard copy publication called Performing Arts Insider, which has been around since 1944. It was founded way back when, even before Theatrical Index. It was the place that people would go to look to see all the basic information. It wasn't reviews. It was
like sort of
this is playing at this
theater A to Z
opening.
kind of thing.
Here's the stars. Here's the contact information for the agents and the managers and the producers.
Oh, wow. So sort of like a precursor to Backstage.
Yeah.
Sort of like a precursor to Backstage, in a way?
Well, Backstage was more about auditions. Performing Arts Insider is more about, it is about auditions, but even contact information for an actor's agent or a manager. So it's connecting the industry with the performers and the designers and the playwrights. Okay. So a lot of the people who subscribe might be people who book for talk shows on TV. Mm-hmm. They say, hey, the show's coming up. How do I contact that actor? How do I contact that playwright?
Right.
And that information would be in there. I mean, then we also have the casting agents and the folks working on shows. So it would be helpful for actors, too. But it wasn't directly competing or anything with Backstage and show business. It was more along the lines of the industry, the entertainment industry, knowing everything that was coming up and who was handling it and how to contact everybody. So he was running that for about 10 years, and he wanted to give it up to go do more directing and acting and writing, and so he said, Dave, I don't want to kill this because it's still got a good subscribership and it's a handy thing. Do you want to take it over? So we made a deal, and I ended up taking that over back in 2000 and have been publishing it ever since. He's still co-publisher, mostly in name only, but he still does some stuff. And so I run that too. So but that's a hard copy. That's not on the web.
Okay.
It has a website, but that's just for subscribing. It's
Right.
Performing Arts Insider, and now in our, I think, 72nd year, something like that, of putting that out. So I do that. I do TotalTheater.com, and what else? I have a radio show that I do every week.
Right, yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, yeah.
And somewhere in there was a period of time for about 6 years when I worked for Playbill. So that was like my big thing that made me somewhat, not famous, but well-known in theater writing and journalism circles. I was their head writer for a year and a half, and then I became their editor for about 4 years.
Okay.
So,
wow.
And was the managing editor back then. This was going back to 96 or 98, up through about 2002.
Wow.
I was there. Probably, yeah. Of course, probably 96 to 2002, something like that.
Oh, wow. I also, in sort of like my research, came across the fact that you were just recently named editor, I believe, of StageBuddy.com.
Oh, StageBuddy. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and
I am an editor in their theater section. This fall has been insanely busy because I've been doing my play, and I teach. I'm an adjunct professor at the University of Northern Colorado. I'm teaching 4 English classes. So on my desk are 90 research papers that I have to grade a week. So it's I've had to let StageBuddy kind of be on the back burner for these past few weeks. I'll get back more into it and do more editing and more stuff for them in January. Right. But right now, I completely forgot about that. I was doing videos for them, occasionally reviews, a weekly article for them, editing some other people's stuff. I've been involved with StageBuddy for a few years, on and off. So and the history column that they have there, I update that and I do the daily history column for them. Right. So. Yeah, StageBuddy too. I forgot it. I'm sorry.
No, because I mention it because they recently contacted me and asked me to write for them, and so I've been like trying to figure out sort of like when the right time was to start like my first article and stuff, and it's sort of been the same thing where like I've been busy between off online and like my other part-time job, and life kind of takes over, and so like the new gig has to sort of be set aside for now, and it's a good sort of like segue into what I wanted to ask you, which was because it's something that I've come across, like especially in the last 2 years, and really especially in the last couple or few months in writing, is that sort of just like how to balance the deadlines and like. I mean, it's kind of like probably bad for me to like admit as someone who writes for publications to sort of say like that I'm really horrible with deadlines, but I kind of always have been. And so like I just like I was also very
deadlines are my saving grace. Deadlines keep me on point. But if I didn't have them, if I didn't have a deadline. Back when I was doing more for StageBuddy, I shunted that off for other things. But I knew I had to do a column a week. I knew I had to update the histories when something happened to show up when somebody died, and I knew that I had to do videos I would not do them every week. I would load them up. I do 3 or 4 at one time, and then scatter them over the course of a month. So, but I got them done because I knew, hey, if I want a paycheck, I better meet my deadline. Right. I have. There are 3 or 4 times a year I do cover stories for a publication called Long Island Woman out in Long Island. And, I interview some pretty famous people. And, it's a cover story. And when I do them, I get them done because, it's an okay paycheck. And I know that's a pretty visible place for my work to be. I mean, it goes all over the place. Everybody reads it. So I know, hey, that one I go early on. That one I try and finish as fast as possible because it's one of the bigger chunks of things I have to. They tend to be 2,500 word pieces as opposed to the stuff I write for everywhere else, which could be anywhere from 300 to 800 words. So that one I get to. But if I didn't have a writers group that I belong to that meets once a month, and where we read every other month to each other, I wanted to finish my play, probably, or in the time that I did. Because I've been a playwright for 30 years, and I haven't written that many plays, because everything else gets in the way.
Right.
So deadlines are a wonderful thing. I also write a monthly column for Long Island Pulse magazine, which is this glossy, and it's really grown over the past few years, this very, very good-looking culture Long Island magazine that you get everywhere on Long Island, and I do their theater column. So I know I've got to get that to them, and the killer is their deadlines are very far in advance. So I've got to write like the January column sometime in early November, if not earlier, which is kind of weird. So that sucks because I like to do reviews, and I've got to make sure it's something that will be open 2.5 months from now when I'm still writing about it. So all of that is just to say deadlines can really be your friend. They really are.
I mean, I do get that, and I definitely, for a while they were really good in keeping me on my toes, but it was like sort of the thing that you mentioned about like the word count and things like that, and for me, like, Off Online, they're very stringent on it being like not past like the 700 or 800 word mark. And for me, having come from like a more creative writing place, that was a little hard for me. And so I think lately it's just been like knowing that like I've become sort of a little more hyper conscious of like how I'm writing my plays. So like, do you ever sort of get hung up in sort of the way, not plays, reviews, sorry. So do you ever get like hung up in sort of the style of how you're doing reviews, or do you ever sort of kind of, because I worry about like sort of rushing it and like sort of in a way half-assing it, just trying to make the deadline, and I think that plays into a big factor of maybe why I have so much trouble with deadlines, is because I really like, I tend to edit myself, and I tend to really just want to make it easier for the reader.
Back in the day, the folks from the major dailies would have a few hundred words, and they would duck out of a musical about 15 minutes beforehand. They'd have their notes, they'd get on the phone to the newspaper. This is going 7 years ago, and have to bash out something and be brilliant while doing it. So we're incredibly lucky. We get to go to post openings or previews or preview week and not have an overnight deadline. So that almost sometimes works against us because we want to ruminate, we want to get lazy, we want to think about things, we want to write a paragraph and then chunk it. If that, we think we've got an opening paragraph and then it's got nothing to do with what we really want to say. Sometimes you just have to barrel through it because 800 words is a lot. It's a lucky thing to have. I was used to, in most of my writings, being much more limited to about 400 to 600.
And then in the print publications, it's also pretty short.
And actually, they say even online, people want to read shorter stuff. They're not going to go 1,200 words into something that you write online. People don't have the time, they don't have the energy, the patience. Their eyes are going to skip. They'll skim a bit if it's a long piece and maybe get down to that last paragraph to see what do they really think. But you should be able to say it in about 500, unless you're flying gold. Or something like that, and you really want to expand and expound upon things, then or you're a Brantley with 1,500 to 2,000 words or whatever he gets. But your average person they don't even get that. And you can say a whole hell of a lot in not that much verbiage. If you go back and read old John Simon reviews from New York Magazine, he didn't have that many column inches, but he crammed everything into 400 words, and he could blast something to bits in one paragraph.
Right.
And you knew everything you need to know about that show, not to go see, in 100 words.
I mean, yeah, it's weird. I mean, I guess for me, it also, like, it depends on the show, too. Like, if it's a show or a theater troupe that I've seen before and I've known and loved, it's like, you know, I want to say so much more about it. And, like, but how do I say it with, you know, like, in a more succinct way? But, of course, I want to, like, you know, expound on it. Like, again, like you said. And at other times, like, if it's a show where, I mean, luckily for me, it's been more good than sort of quote-unquote bad performances that I've seen. But, like, you know, the ones where I feel lukewarm about, like, I feel like those are the ones that I can even, like, I have more trouble with, because it's, like, it's really hard to sort of, like, you know, get how you feel about a show within just a day, or, you know, within maybe, like, 'cause usually at my best, I'm like, you know, 3 hours, maybe, like, I'll be able to churn it out. But, like, sometimes it takes me 3 days to just sort of figure out how I feel about a show. So I'm wondering if you've ever sort of...
You cut out there. What? You wondering what?
Yeah, no, I was just saying, like, I wonder if you've ever sort of, like, had the same problem, too, in terms of...
Oh, yeah. Sometimes they come like nothing. Sometimes it takes forever, and you're just slogging through it. That's the nature of the beast.
Right.
I would suggest, actually, that you try, if you have the money and the resources, and I think they even have partial scholarships. Have you heard of the O'Neill Center in Waterford?
But I was under the impression that they only, like, I mean, I didn't do much research on it, but, like, I was under the impression that they help sort of workshop plays, or is it basically any kind of writing?
The O'Neill workshop, the O'Neill Center basically functions to grab a dozen playwrights and help them work their plays, their promising plays, and the O'Neill Center helps them get plays together and puts them on in readings. The playwrights go back and change from one reading to the next, because they see it physically done in staged readings, right? So that's the main focus of the O'Neill Center. But connected to it is something called the National Critics Institute, which offers fellowships for critics to go to the O'Neill Center for boot camp, which lasts about 3 weeks now. It used to be a whole damn month, but I mean, they've compressed it to about 3 weeks. And you go there and you take seminars and lectures, and you go to see these productions of these stage readings. And they go, you know, the production starts, I think, 7:30 at night. Some of them are outdoors, some of them are indoors. You sit through them. Then about 9:30, 10, you get back to your dorm or wherever you're staying, and then you have to go write a review. And it's due by 8:30 the next morning, when you sit around a big old redwood table with your instructors, and you correct them and read them and see what's right with them and what's wrong with them. And you do this day after day, and you basically lose your mind.
Right.
After a couple of days, because you're incredibly sleep deprived. It's like, you know, almost like a retraining camp, like the Chinese used to do when Mao was in power. You know, they basically reformat you as a writer and as a critic and as a person. But when you come to the end of it, you've had information and instruction and help and guidance from, you know, pretty solid, real, long-term critics and writers. You've seen a dozen plays that you've written about. You've revised your work. You've done different kinds of reviews. You've been asked to do reviews in 200 words. You've been asked to do a review in 800 words. You've been asked to do a review where you have to concentrate just on the plastics, the lighting, the set, the sound, and not so much the narrative. Other reviews where you'll concentrate just on the performance, or you're going to try and link the physical production to the performance. I mean, they'll give you all these kinds of exercises to do.
Right.
And ultimately, come out of that, presumably a better. You come out of it brain dead, but then a week later you regroup and you've learned a lot.
Right.
So I highly recommend it.
I'll definitely look into that. That sort of called to mind sort of how, sometimes like for me, like writing a review, like it can sometimes feel like after you've done it for a while, you sort of kind of relegate to like a formula. And like, so I tend to sort of go by the same, like, okay, I start off like the starting paragraph will be about, like a summation of like what my impression of the show is. And then I sort of delve into like, okay, the second paragraph is like, the plot summation, and then go into like the lighting and then the acting and stuff like that. And so I mean, for you, is it do you write a different review every time? Should it be a different review every time, or is it better to stick to sort of one like way of writing a review in terms of a formula?
No. I mean, you have to understand, I also don't physically write that many reviews anymore. A lot of the things I review, I do on my radio show.
Okay.
Just because I don't have the time and energy to physically write. I don't want to take 3 hours out of my life, with all due respect.
Right.
Unless I have a deadline or a place that's going to physically publish it and give me money.
Right.
So mostly I will go see shows and make notes and then talk about them on the radio. Mm-hmm. And it's easier for me, and I love the radio, and I love to talk. So but back in the day when I was writing dozens of reviews a year,
mm-hmm.
4 or 5 a week or more sometimes, you would fall into patterns, and you can't help it. You have a certain style and a certain flow that you have, and you also play your strengths, for better or worse. So I know that my strengths are talking about the text and the plot and the narrative and whether the show had an effect on me or not. A little less about acting. I'm not per se an acting expert, although I can certainly say certain things about someone was good for this reason or someone was not good for that reason.
Right.
And much lower down are what I call the plastics of lighting, set, sound. I notice them, I appreciate them, but I'm not going to be that into them or care that much about them or spend a chunk of my review about. And critics are, especially in the O'Neill Center, they tell you about this. You get to what they call the ghetto paragraph, where you lump all the tech stuff into the ghetto. So, well, the costumes by so-and-so were really colorful, and the sound design was occasionally too loud, but, and the music was cool, and the lighting, there was one very effective lighting scene, all in one paragraph. Towards the end of the review, you get it done, because you want to mention them, and then you move on to back what you really wanted to talk about. The better critics, and the ones who have more time and more mental acuity, will weave in the tech stuff, the plastics, throughout the review. Mm-hmm. And they will go, perhaps, look at a performance and talk about it almost by noticing the shoes that they're wearing, the heavy, clumpy shoes, and how that brings that character down to earth, and how the actor plays that character. You can feel it through the shoes that they're wearing, that sort of thing. If you have the time and energy and mental ability to do it, that's fantastic. Most of us get 300-400 words, and if we even have time to mention the design, we'll do it in the ghetto paragraph.
Right.
But if you can mix it up and have your reviews have different styles and takes on things, every once in a while you do a letter to the playwright or a letter to the producer, maybe something like that. All of us have written terrible reviews when we've seen something like a Moliere play and we want to do it in rhyming couplets. I mean, that kind of stuff. It's actually helping. The review itself may suck, but it may open you up when you've gotten into a rut to do something like that. So for that review itself, it may not help you, but it may help your next 20 reviews to do something like that.
Right. You mentioned you mentioned the acting and everything. So like transitioning now into, you said you've always written plays. You've always considered yourself a playwright.
Right.
So
when I was a kid, I was writing plays. I was writing stories and stuff, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. So how did the whole solo show sort of come out. Like from what I could tell.
Thank you. I was wondering, that's my play. Okay, yeah. Now we're talking, yeah.
So from what I could tell, it was it's based on your experiences as a theater critic or within the theater community.
Sure.
Sort of, how did you sort of how did you sort of decide when you wanted to write about that? Like what was the process?
So the question. What it was this was something that happened to me 25 years ago, somewhere in that range, 20 to 25 years ago. So I was already a critic for a few years. I was already doing it, and then this incident happened to me, the one I got to recount in the second, well, throughout the whole play, but mainly in the second part of the play. This, what I think is a very funny, very human, very crazy, nutty incident that happened. So I would tell this story to friends because I love it so much, and I love telling it. Didn't enjoy going through it, but I enjoyed telling it in retrospect. And a lot of people, they would just laugh like crazy, and they say, "Oh, like you got to write this same." And so over the years, I knew I could never let that story go, and I kept embellishing. And it's not a story that I could tell properly in like 5 minutes over the dinner table. That's not something I could say. Well, this happened to me. I want to tell the whole thing. I want to set the whole scene.
Right.
So finally, ultimately, a couple of years ago, I just said to myself, "Let me get it out there. Don't like this is an essay piece or an amusing column thing, or can this work as theater, as a one-man show?" And I was like, let me get it out there. Let me start writing it as a monologue and tell it. And not just what happened, but as I started to write it out, I wanted to weave in bits of my life as a theater critic overall, because that sort of sets the mood, the milieu of not just, hey, I went to the theater one night but this is what it's like being a New York theater critic. This is how long I've been doing this. These are some of the shows I've seen that were wonderful. These are some of the shows I've seen like, oh my God, I can't believe I sat through that. And these are some things that I learned being a theater critic over the years. That's kind of the first section of the play. And I also set up that night during the first section. And so that people know, when I go to the theater, this happens and that happens and that happens. So when I went on this particular night, etc. and so forth. They're following me through it. And then the second half of the piece is really, okay, boom, I went to this Broadway theater and this happened. So and so I started writing it out. And it flowed very easily, writing it. Certainly that first draft did, because it's a story that's been in me for 20 years.
Right.
And it was, okay, get it out. And it was about X amount of pages, and I thought I really had it, and then I realized that it was way long for a one-man show when I did that first draft. And it didn't look like it, because it was only like 25 pages. And I thought each page is like 2 minutes, and I was like, oh, wait, no. Each page is about 4 minutes. No, again, it's got to be cut. Then that was the tough part. Tough part is killing your babies, as they say, killing your darlings.
Killing your darlings, yeah.
Yeah, killing your darlings. Oh, that was, it wasn't hard that first go-round. I could find a lot of stuff to chop, but getting the show down from about an hour 50 to even 90, 85, 80 minutes, that was killer. That was, now I was starting to lose stuff that I really did love, that I thought was important, phrases that I loved, stuff that I knew would get laughs, and it was just boom, and boom, and boom. And my writers group was hugely helpful in that. And just having to, doing it in the Boulder Fringe Festival, which I did in September of this year. I was accepted into the Boulder Fringe Festival for 5 performances. So I did them there. When I first applied to the Boulder Festival, the play wasn't finished yet. And I assumed it was going to be an hour-long play. So I took an hour-long time slot. Because I had hour-long and I think 80-minute or 75-minute time slots. And I thought, yeah, I'll get this down in 55 minutes. I'll tell it. I'll do it. And then realizing a bit later on, no, they're really kind of expecting it to be closer to an hour. So I better chop this thing. I got to boom, get this and I don't need that. And I had this whole, epilogue kind of thing that I really wanted to leave in there that I've had to cut, that kills me. And even then, I sweated blood to get the show down to 85 minutes, no intermission. It's between 80 and 85, depending on how much people have. But yeah, and they were brutal about it, not without cause. And said, hey, if you wanted a 90-minute slot, you needed to say that to us 4 months ago and pay, for a 90-minute slot. Not, there's a different pay scale than the other one, and we're not going to let you do it. And you either get your show down to 59 minutes or you do something else.
Mm-hmm.
So I was forced at the Boulder Fringe, unfortunately, and people were very angry about this. I can't cut this down to an hour. I cannot suddenly memorize a show that is 20 minutes shorter and gut the hell out of it. So I ended up cutting it in half, and I did Act 1 a couple of times, and I did Act 2, as it were, a couple of other nights. And people were pissed because they got paid twice if they went to the rest of it. And people who saw Act 1 were like, wait a minute, you're not even telling the story that you promised you're going to tell us.
Right.
Sorry. I got to be out of here in 1 hour. And I was. So they liked what they saw, but especially people who saw only Act 1 were a little ticked off. It's like, where the hell's the rest of the play?
Right.
Like, sorry, gotta come back. And if I'd been wise about it and had my wits about me, I would have said, just talk to them, and they'll let you in free, because it was not like we had totally full houses every night at Boulder.
Right.
So if you have a ticket from the first, you just come back. But, I was concentrating on just doing my damn show for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I don't want to deal with the logistics. Don't talk to the box office people. So it was a mutual thing. I should have been more proactive, and I think the folks at the Boulder Fringe could have been more understanding, quite honestly. So,
how was the transition from Boulder to New York? You did it for one night here, right? It was a reading, or was it
just
a full...
one night?
Okay.
No, Boulder was also not a reading. It's a fully staged. Play. It's a one-person play, but no, it's all in here.
Okay.
And I was ready by the time I got out of Boulder. I didn't have to do too much because I knew the play worked. I saw part 1 work to a point,
right.
And then I saw 2 work like gangbusters. So I just had to, get them together, do an 80-minute piece. I've been rehearsing it all along as a full-length piece. So I was ready. I was just waiting to get it done in New York, and had an excellent experience with the United Solo Theater Festival. That's where they did it in New York, over in Theater Row, at the Theater Row complex in the Studio Theater.
Yeah.
So I did it Friday night, October 23rd. My only disappointment was maybe not being a little more proactive with them of trying to get another date or time, because I had some Jewish friends who couldn't go on a Friday night, and then critic friends. Friday night in October tends to be a pretty busy time.
Right.
So they can say, we're really booked. I told them about it 3 months earlier. They could have held the night, but, people are. They'll make excuses. But some are legitimately like, Friday night in October at 9 o'clock. Why couldn't you do it at 5? Could have gone to that and then seen something else. So, I'm hoping to bring it back, to bring the show back in April.
Okay,
in a longer form. I was able to raise the money for the show through Indiegogo.
Oh, right, yeah. Crowdsourcing.
It was a wonderful thing. We had a campaign. I wanted to raise the base amount to bring the show to the Boulder Fringe, to pay the rather expensive fees to get into a Fringe festival, the very expensive United Solo Theater Festival fees, the plane to and from New York, and various the shuttles I have to take to the airport, and some other fees to pay the stage managers, to pay basics to get the show done.
Right.
And people were incredibly generous. We went about 133% over our base goal of payment. So we're able to have the show exactly, except for cutting it in half, exactly as I wanted it in Boulder, exactly as I wanted in United Solo, and there's still money left over. So I want to put that towards, there's not a lot of money left over, but there's some that I want to put towards New York and bringing it back, and also to bring it to other places. Right. So I may do another Indiegogo campaign. I don't know how many people are going to give it again or a second time now that I've done one. But we'd really, really love to bring this to Chicago and Florida and other Milwaukee and places that appreciate it, and back to New York. My issue is that to really do it in New York and try and get reviewed and at least considered for nominations and things, you have to do something like 18 performances over a certain period of time.
Oh, really?
You can't just be in for 4 or 5 and expect that the Drama Desk will take a look at it, or the Outer Critics Circle will, or certainly
like
not the
Innovative
Drama
Theater Awards,
or any of those folks.
Right.
So you've got to be there for a while. Well, I don't live in New York anymore. If I do that, that's a major undertaking.
Right.
So for now, the idea is still to just bring it back for a couple of performances in April, try and get some more critics to see it, get some producers on board, maybe try and get an agent, and see, not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. Well, hopefully, that stuff works out. I want to know a little bit more about the performing side of things. Were you ever I'm sure any one of us who's sort of gone into theater in whatever aspect has sort of had some kind of performing connection with it at some point in their lives. But I was wondering if ever you saw yourself as a performer, or did you initially start out as one, or did you do it in high school, or how comfortable was it for you to do your show and perform it, having been a theater critic for so long?
Oh well, I'm a
writer for so long.
I'm very. Oh, sorry.
And as a writer for so long is what I said.
Well, no, I'm a ham, and I took an acting class in junior high school, and then another in high school, and got bitten then. And I acted in a high school play. My first play was "Come Blow Your Horn," the Neil Simon comedy, where I played the angry dad, which was just real typecasting. I thought they cast me as the nerdy brother. There are 2 brothers in the show. I thought I'd be the nerdy one who has no luck with girls and was kind of nervous and everything. Nope. They saw the anger, and then they went right with the angry father who owns the wax fruit company. So, but I loved it, and got hooked, and wanted to do more of it in college. Did a little more acting, but I really got into the writing side of it. I didn't go to NYU for acting. I was in the film and not even the theater school, the film school. So didn't get to do that much of it, and I really
no brush with any acting classes, even in the film school side of things.
Oh, I did. Oh, okay. I took 4, but they were electives almost. They weren't that connected. And I auditioned for a couple of things. I did a couple of shows while I was in college, college shows. Right. I did Sexual Perversity in Chicago. I was very proud of that, and I thought it was very good, Danny. And I did. And also there was if you've ever heard of Mark Jaffe Cohen, who's a gay playwright, he was on. Howard Stern used to have him on a couple of times. Back, I don't know what he's up to now. He became part of Funny Gay Males in New York. Okay. But he was in my year at NYU, and I was in one of his plays. He was writing all these epic plays about being gay. Wow. So I think I played a waiter in one of them. I got cast. I was auditioning for stuff. Right. So that was cool. But there was a moment, and I it's one of the moments I wish I could turn back time for. When I auditioned for just a college production, at NYU, they were doing Sam Shepard's Seduced, and I was auditioning. I thought it was great. I was really, felt I was good and excited and right for it. But they cast me, and in this play, in that scene, I'm with 2 women who are also in the scene. So I don't even remember the damn play, but they had me there, and I'm 5'2.5", and these women were about 5'7". Right. And while I was standing there, I knew, as good as I was, I didn't have a shot. I just, and then a week later, they still hadn't cast the show, and I saw they were still holding casting numbers. I said, I can come back in, I'll do a callback, I really want to do this. And then now we're just going to go another. They didn't say why. And it was a moment that I felt, I'm going to face this if I go off and try and do theater. I'm never going to be a leading man. I don't have the looks. I don't have the height. And what am I going to get at this stage of my life if I go knocking about? And now, the later me kind of thinks, after looking at people like Kevin Spacey and Bob Balaban and folks like that. Had I stuck with it, I would be in, a $2 million mansion in California. I wouldn't be famous, but I would be steadily working at it. You see me on TV on Law and Order half the time. I'd be doing theater when I wanted to out in LA. People might know my name. I think if I'd stuck with it, and that's not just hubris, I would have made it on some level. But I didn't have it in me. I let myself get crushed by things. So, but I loved performing. I ended up acting in one or two of my plays, my own, over the years. And then 4 years ago now, I co-wrote and directed a play called Shalom Dammit, An Evening with Rabbi Saul Solomon. So
I think I saw something about that on Total Theater. So, yeah.
So I was kind of directing in that, really, and working on that. So I've been, and in the directing, showing the rabbi how to, how I wanted the thing performed.
Is Rabbi Saul Solomon he's a character that you created, or
he's a very close friend, and I worked with him in creating the character.
Okay, so slightly based on him, or
based on both of us.
Okay, awesome. I sort of ask about the acting thing, and it's interesting that you mentioned about looking at actors now who are closer to your age and sort of thinking you could have stuck with it, because
William H. Macy. I mean, those kinds of people who aren't 5'11", who aren't back in the day when I was in my 20s, you want to be the lead, you want to get the great roles, and then what are you going to get if you don't look like so-and-so, if you're not going to get the girl, so I was like, oh, the hell with it. I'll go right. But now I look back and I go, I would have been good. I'm not good. I'm really good at being me. I'm a very believable me, or versions of me. I'm not a Meryl Streep that can disappear into roles, or Robert De Niro back in the day. I'm always a certain level of me, but I have a certain intensity and presence on stage that I know the audience will gravitate to for at least a certain period of time.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to sort of think about acting and theater and film as something that's very youth oriented, and that's kind of really common in the culture. But to see people like Kevin Spacey and Meryl Streep who have done it for years and are still getting great roles all the time. I mean, as someone who is still kind of considering performing, I kind of look to people like Cate Blanchett and stuff, and kind of hope maybe 10 years later, if I do go down that route, maybe
just to be working and eating. I'm not talking about. I made a joke about the mansion, but even just
being
a
working
and making
actor.
Enough dough.
That's. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything glamorous or anything, but if you're working, even just in regional theater, off Broadway, seeing people my age do it. When I saw Spring Awakening 8 years ago, I was 19, and most of the cast was around my age. Seeing that on stage, seeing people who are your age performing, that was the thing that reminded me of why I loved theater so much. Was it's very vibrant and vital and alive, and you don't necessarily have to be young, but it is possible when you see people your age doing it. You sort of think, well, that
you gotta love walking into that light and communicating and feeling it hit you, and quelling your nerves and just going out there and giving it, and I sublimate it by teaching. I'm a very performative teacher, and I teach friggin' English. Comp. I could sit there at a desk and discuss essays and talk about grammar, but that's not me. I want to try and keep these kids awake for 75 minutes twice a week.
Right.
And in doing that, I'm on stage. And
in a lot of ways, teaching is performing too. It doesn't have to just be acting. It can, a lot of other professions sort of require that skill as well. but yeah, I mean, it's interesting to think that you do the English the teaching thing, just because from what I can tell, just from talking with you the past few minutes, and also just from the website and like the whole radio show thing, that you do seem to have very much of a personality that is very outgoing. So like, yeah, for you to sort of say that, like yeah, like it seems. Oh, sorry. No, for you to sort of say like, to have mentioned that you were this like English professor, like is kind of not really confusing, but just like it's interesting. It's an interesting sort of counter to like, I guess what's being presented at Total Theater, and what you've led this sort of colorful life as a theater critic. So I mean, yeah, it's interesting.
Cool.
But yeah. So so the solo show, you said you had no sort of qualms in terms of performing when it came to New York, even just. Okay, so.
I mean, it helps that it's my story.
Right.
That I want to tell you what happened to me. Mm-hmm. Easy for me. It's like nothing. I want to share this with all of you. Wasn't even hardly any nerves at all. Just go out there and do it.
So you felt like you didn't really have to distance yourself so much when it comes to, because this has sort of been a constant conversation, and I've been having a lot of these conversations with fellow writers and other playwrights as well, about particularly with those who write about their own lives and put their life experiences into their writing and into their work, whether they're spoken word poets, or again, playwrights who have done solo shows based on their life. Like, I keep asking whether, and this is just coming from me, sort of my own personal questions about it, is like whether you felt like you had to distance yourself from the experiences. I mean, probably in your case it's different, because it wasn't a traumatic thing that you were writing about.
It's not like I was raped by a buffalo. I have to go through it every night.
Right.
I wasn't an African woman who was, circumcised by her tribe, and now she has no orgasms or anything. No, I mean, I had a bad night, and kind of a funny night. I don't have to distance from myself at all. I love reliving it. I find it funny.
Right.
The hardest part for me in rehearsal and even in performance was not laughing, because I love, it's my ego, but I like the way I write, and I find the story funny. So especially when I get towards that second part, and if I see audience members start to, happily in New York, the lighting was such that I couldn't really see beyond the first row.
Okay.
But in Boulder, it was a more communal sort of setup, and I saw everybody in the audience, so I could talk to them in a way. I mean, not directly, but I could have contact. But if I saw somebody cracking up at some funny line that I wrote, it would be hard for me to not
break character,
join in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And when the story really gets going in that second part, and I'm reenacting it, that can be very hard for me to keep a straight face.
Right. I mean, that's the thing I've found, like, something that I've always loved about sort of comedic performances is when actors break out of character, and the whole like letting the audience feel like they're in on the joke as well. So coming from that, like, I mean, do you do anything like any other sort of comedic work at all? Do you do like stand-up comedy or anything, or have you tried your hand at it?
Years ago, an old friend and I tried our hand as a duo. We called ourselves Grandma's Recent Hip Injury, which I know was the funniest thing about us. And I thought we were pretty good. But again, time-wise, it was time-consuming. We sometimes didn't rehearse enough. Sometimes I went off script, and because back at that time, sometimes the lights would hit me and stuff would go out of my head, because it wasn't like I hadn't rehearsed it for a month. This was something like we threw it together, we rehearsed it twice, and then I get up on stage, I'm like, oh, I think I'm better now. So we did it a few times over at like a club called the Brokerage out in Belmore, Long Island, which may still be there. And we had a great time. We should have. It's another thing where I think we would have had fun if we stuck with it.
Right.
Could have been the next Sklar Brothers or something like that. But I did enjoy it. I haven't done the stand-up thing. I've always been tempted. But I feel like what I do is a little more. I don't want to shout above drinks and waiters and stuff and hecklers and 3 a.m. crowds. At least in a theater thing, they may not like you or people may not laugh, but it's a theater situation. They'll be respectful.
And you're telling a story, and there's more of a narrative to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different thing. Colin Quinn, I'm sure, prefers, maybe not, but Colin Quinn prefers going into a Broadway or off-Broadway theater and doing what is essentially narrative stand-up rather than having to go back to Catch a Rising Star or Stand-Up New York or what's the one, Dangerfields or something like that.
Right. So are you working on anything else now? Or are you, well, apart from sort of trying to expand the solo show, any other sort of...
It's done. The solo show's done. I'm not expanding it again. It's done.
I mean in terms of just like going to other cities and stuff.
So, not the play itself is finished. I'm sorry. There are things that I'm churning in my mind that I just don't have time to work on until the semester's over.
Okay.
This was all about trying to promote my show, get it to the festivals, memorize it, rehearse it, do it, get people in there. And now it'll be about, okay, let's raise some more money and try and get it done again. So deal with that, grade all my papers, get through the semester, and then there's something I'm thinking about possibly involving the rabbi again. I'm not sure, but I want to bring him back. There's more stuff that he needs to say.
Right. So wait, you said that with the rabbi, he was a character that you did in the radio show, or was he a separate?
Well, the rabbi has been on my radio show many, many times. He does these things called rabbinical reflections. He hasn't done them in a while. There is mini sermons. They last about 4 to 7 minutes. And he goes off on topics. You can find them all on YouTube if you look for Rabbi Saul Solomon, rabbinical reflections. So he's been on the radio show since we started the radio show in 2002. But the stage show, Shalom Dammit, An Evening with Rabbi Saul Solomon, we did that. That was a play. We did that here in Colorado. We also did it a couple of times in New York. We did it at the Richmond Shepherd Theater. We did it at the Roy Arias Theater back in 2012.
Right.
So it was a play with music, satirical, his view of the world, his view on holidays, his views on the Middle East, his view on non-Jews, all sort of tied up together in a comic way with a lot of songs in there. Had a wonderful time working on that with him and getting that done. Wish that had gone a lot further, quite honestly. I was very disappointed that we did it in New York. We brought it back for 2 weeks, and not everybody loved it, but a lot of people loved it, and sort of just kind of dead-ended right there. And I want to bring that back at some point and do that again, because I mean it's a wonderful show. But I think there's more to the rabbi. I think there's many more things that he can talk about in the Middle East and everything else going on.
Right.
That would be modified stand-up.
Right. For more topical
top stuff,
right?
Also long-lasting stuff. Holiday, that was another show. That show was 2.5 hours when I first wrote it, and it wound up being 90 minutes by the time we finally brought it back to New York. Or no, it was still almost 2 hours with intermission on our second go round in New York.
Wow!
And then we went back to Colorado and turned it into a one-act.
Okay.
And we made it a lot less offensive, unfortunately, but it was more popular. So sometimes you gut what you do to get applause and et cetera, and you kind of miss sticking the knife in a little. I still stick the knife in.
Well, yeah, I mean, why not?
Is there a way I'm supposed to do another? I'm supposed to be interviewing somebody else.
Oh, okay.
So we can continue this another time, or do you need more, or
I
you have
mean,
more
I
questions?
think I pretty much have. I have pretty much everything that I need. Unless there's more about the show that you would want to like put out there, or
everybody, please donate to Indiegogo.
Indiegogo.
My Indiegogo campaign is still up there. We raised our funding initially, but you can still donate if you want to.
Okay.
I want to bring this back to New York. The second week of April, I'm going to be in New York for a conference anyway.
Okay.
So I want to do it again, which means renting. It won't be part of a festival. It'll be renting a theater or finding a theater that will have me and split the take or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So go to miracleoflongjohns.com, please.
Okay.
And Indiegogo campaign as well. Check out my radio show, davesgoneby.com. What else? And totaltheater.com. So if anybody is really interested in what I'm doing, there's hundreds of hours of radio shows on our archives. There's tons of stuff that I've done on YouTube. If
you have stuff on
that's on
iTunes, right? You have stuff on iTunes, right?
iTunes we don't, as far as I know.
Okay.
Not on iTunes. All our radio shows, all 500-something radio shows we've done so far are either on the website davesgoneby.com or on StageBuddy. They're there too.
Okay, so they're streaming on there. Is that what it is?
They're downloadable streaming or MP3 audio.
Okay.
And so please check them out there. If you want to go the Rabbi show, the stage show, An Evening with Rabbi Saul Solomon, Shalom Dammit, that is on YouTube. You can actually go watch that, the longer version of it. And so if any producers or folks who want to invest and bring either that show or Miracle of Long John's somewhere, not just New York, I'm here. Contact me, please. I have a Facebook page. Say hi.
All right. I'll be sending those links along, posting it, and I'll let you know when this is posted. So thanks for your time. Thanks for answering and being very patient with the whole technology thing.
Great fun. Thank you for being that interesting in my life than just spending an hour talking to me. I really appreciate it.
No, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like, I don't know very many theater critics that sort of do the whole critic to playwright thing and sort of do a solo show on it. I mean...
Probably the best known one, other than George Bernard Shaw, would have been Jeffrey Sweet, who's a longtime friend of mine. And he wrote a good play called American Enterprise, and I forget some of his other plays. He's steadily working. He's one of those playwrights who is not done on Broadway, but he gets other stuff done elsewhere. He's very talented, and he's written for TV as well. Jeffrey Sweet. Check him out.
I definitely will. All right. Well, thanks, Dave. So I guess this is it. Yeah, and I'll be in touch. I'll let you know when this is up.
Great. Thank you.
Right.
Are you going to write it out, or are you posting the video? I'm not sure what you're...
Well, I mean, seeing as how, like, we couldn't figure out how to, like, record the video, probably it won't be on video, but,
you got the audio?
Yeah, I've got the audio.
That's my second interview, calling, sorry.
Okay.
In the back that...
All right, I'll email you.
Let me say goodbye.
All
Thank
right.
you very, very, very much. Bye-bye, hon. Thank you all for listening. Bye.
And there you have it. Kind of interesting that I at the very end of the interview, I mentioned Jeffrey Sweet, both a theater critic and a playwright friend of mine. And as we speak, Jeffrey has just gotten back from London, where they were doing his play Kunstler about liberal lawyer William Kunstler, and apparently got really good reviews. And they're trying to bring that to other places and other venues and so forth. But I want to thank very, very much Jessica Taghap for doing that initial interview all those years ago on her podcast. I honestly didn't remember whether it was for Shalom Dammit, the Rabbi Show, or if it was for, it turned out to be for Miracle of Long John's that I was trying to bring back. But either way, thank you, Jessica. Thank you for putting on your podcast at the time. And thank you once again for unearthing that long-lost audio of the interview that I've been able to kind of salvage and play here. I didn't have a chance to listen to most of it. I was doing other stuff. But it's only been 6 years. I thought there'd be this kind of sea change. I'm more serious, I think, when I'm talking to her than I am when I'm talking to pretty much anybody else. I mean, there's only like serious as a boring heart attack, from what I heard.
Took it very seriously.
Yeah.
Hey, serious? You aren't talking to Nana.
Well, this is why this is why I bring Rabbi Saul Solomon onto the show. It isn't just because for the Jewish stuff. It is just that he can be,
You want me to order your
ultra me. Rabbi Saul can be me to the comedy 10th power. And that's why he won't be on this episode. I apologize for that. We couldn't find room for a rabbinical reflection or an interview for him to do. But Rabbi Saul will be back in the neighborhood. That is for sure. So, I have a couple more things to do before we end the show, and Joyce and I go get some bagel-y type food. But we still have our Colorado Limerick of the Dam to do. We still have Friends of the Neighborhood. And I haven't done Dave's Big Dictionary yet. So Dave's Big Dictionary has to do with thinking of a word or coming up with a word randomly, and then it's my job to talk extemporaneously about it for a couple of minutes, for like 5 minutes, whatever it brings to mind, whatever synapses it starts firing into my brain or out of my brain. So the word from Merriam-Webster's dictionary officially, yesterday's word was lucrative. Good word, lucrative. And of course that means, I'll look it up again here, but you know what it means. It means, can't find it, here it is, profitable. That's an adjective for profitable, as in lucrative business deals. So, I'm going to spend a couple of minutes with our word of the day, lucrative, on Dave's Big Dictionary. Extra, tell all about it. It's Dave's Big Dictionary. So I'll say right up front, that I'm all for filthy lucre, from whence the term lucrative came. I'm all for, but I've never been one of those people who can make it. I'm always fascinated. And I meet so many of these people, seemingly, when I'm asked to be part of that publicity summit that I go to twice a year. Now they do it on Zoom, where people approach the media with books that they've written and great ideas that they've had, and they want to get it out there. And they want to be in magazines, and they want to be on radio shows and podcasts and TV programs and stuff. So they're pushing the book that they've written about their life, and a third of the time, it's, getting over cancer or a horrible death, or having an otherworldly life experience, or finding religion or not finding religion. But a lot of it is also like, hey, if you think money will come into your life. Or I was doing this, and I was living in a car off the side of the road eating government cheese. But then, by gosh, I saved every penny and created my own business. And now I'm a multimillionaire and retired at 57, or whatever the hell it is. God bless them. How they've managed to find something in this world that is lucrative and legal is something that I've never been able to, unfortunately, grasp. I mean, to make a zillion dollars doing something that is illegal, it's not something I would do, but it's you can understand it. And then they do, and they get away with it for years, and then the IRS finds out, right? Or the government finds out, or the police find out, and then naughty, gotta give the money back, gotta do some time in prison. I never want to be in that situation. But there are people who just have that business acumen or that charisma or that sense of how to structure and create a great idea. And you hear about the ones, and the ones who write books are the ones who have the great idea that goes well. We don't hear, presumably, about the 49 out of 50 other people like me who might have a great idea, pursue it, and then it's like, well, where's the money in this? Or how will this happen? Or, yeah, it's fine to see that, but how do we get the capital to do that? It's just, lucrativity, which is not a word, but apparently lucrativeness is, just has... Oh, I used the word. That's right. It's like, it should be like Groucho Marx on You Bet Your Life. Like when I say the secret word, the duck falls down from the there it is. Lucrative. So by gosh, I wish the things I did and so forth in my life were on some level lucrative. And beyond the idea of I've had some day jobs that paid a somewhat reasonable wage, sometimes with benefits, and you can live off it, but that's not lucrative. That's not something that, you turn around and people flip houses, right? You bought a house 4 years ago, you invested $30,000 into making it look nice and redo the bathroom, and then you hold it for 2 or 3 years and you make $140,000 profit. That's lucrative. I respect that. I admire that. Or having that idea, like the Diane Keaton movie, was it Baby Boom or Baby Boomer, where she's just doing the day-to-day and housewife and mother and all this, and then she comes up, what was it, with baby food, and then markets it and sells it to bougie people, and suddenly she's got a booming boomer business. Yeah, all right, fine. That was never, unfortunately, wow. But am I against it? I'm all for lucrativeness if it were to present itself or fall into my lap. I'm not sure what else to say about it. I've still got the phrase "filthy lucre" going through my brain. A lucrative enterprise. I don't know. I guess it's appropriate because what we were talking about earlier in the day of these people.
Oh, the bunion surgery?
Weeks! No, the coffee people, the training, the gym people.
Oh, yeah.
Who bought coffee, we talked about this earlier in the show, who bought coffee for everybody coming into this coffee place for the time that they were there as a marketing ploy, as a way of saying, hey, you haven't heard of us, but we're a gym. We started in New Jersey. We're opening a branch here. It's just, a few blocks down the road. Here, take our card, shake our hand. We'd love to see you. Come on and give a trial run for 2 weeks. Blah blah blah. Fine. And meanwhile, they're spending the money to make the money. They have whatever amount that they needed, presumably hundreds of dollars, to buy everybody coffee in this coffee place and do it. And always like how they must be doing okay because they've got these shops in Jersey and maybe in Pennsylvania, or they're building other places in Maryland. How are they lucrative? How in a culture that is saturated with gyms and with personal training places, how do they think that another one? This all is astonishing about coffee shops, about gyms, about anything that opens up when there's already. How does somebody have a new batch of ice cream? You go into some of the stores like Growl's or Mom's or Wegmans or places, and suddenly you see, oh, there's a new ice cream company out. There's a small batch ice cream maker. It's like, who is asking for a new brand of ice cream? Who is, and yeah, of course, people want to try it. It might be wonderful, might be delicious, but who is aching for new ice cream with every, the major brands out there for years, and all these sort of more small batchy places and your local artisan ice cream shops? How much could they possibly, first to invest and to make it, and then the rollout, and to expect to make presumably enough to run a small company at a sizable profit? How does this work? And the answer is probably 98% of them. It was a dream idea. They borrow money from the bank. They declare bankruptcy when it doesn't work, so nobody gets too hurt, and no harm, no foul. And 2% make it, and maybe make it big. God bless them. They become lucrative. But I just don't, the whole ice cream. I still don't get it, right? But there it is. Anyway, there was Dave's big dictionary for this Saturday, May 18th, 2024, where it is high noon, ladies and gentlemen. It still looks like a rainy day out there, but it isn't plopping down the way it was earlier in the morning. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. I'm here with my amazing and wonderful wife, and with Potato, of course, and Mr. Rogers, and of course my B. Arthur on a mug. Most important thing of all. So, before we leave you, because this is our time, if you will, 9 to noon Eastern time, but we haven't done Friends of the Neighborhood yet, and we haven't done our Colorado Limerick of the Damned. So first, Friends of the Neighborhood are folks who have appeared on this program in months and years past, and we consider them like friends, like family. We want to know, hey, you were on our show in 2015. What are you up to now? Are you in a different off-Broadway show? Are you in a movie on TV? Are you writing a book? Are you where? So like we mentioned, Jeffrey Sweet, who's got his play just finished up in London. And then now Jessica Taghap is a friend of the neighborhood because she interviewed me and we played the interview on the air. Who else are the friends of the neighborhood and what are they up to? Haven't played that one in a while. So, among our friends of the neighborhood, gotta give a shout out to our actor friend J.O. Sanders. He and his actress wife, who's on Broadway right now in The Notebook, Marianne Plunkett, they were given, let me tone the music down just a little bit. I love you, Brahms, but okay. He and Marianne Plunkett won a Lifetime Achievement Award from the New York Drama Critics Circle. And, you know, it is so well-deserved because they've been slogging away. They've done TV, they've done movies, but really, they have stayed theater people, from J.O. Sanders and Marianne Plunkett being in all those Richard Nelson plays, The Apple Family, and also during the pandemic. Sanders is working in theater all the time, so is Plunkett. And it's wonderful to give both of them a New York Drama Critics Circle Lifetime Achievement Award that was announced this week. So congratulations. Yay. Hey, and congratulations also to David Yazbek, whose musical Dead Outlaw was named the best musical of the year by the New York Drama Critics Circle this past week. Dead Outlaw got a lot of buzz about it. I don't know if it's the kind of show that can come to Broadway, but it certainly made it came out of nowhere. Nobody was really thinking about it or expecting it. And then, bam, people saw it. It's like, oh, this is different. This is fun. This is great. And I hope to get to see it at some point. It's Dead Outlaw at, which one? The New York Drama Critics Circle Best Musical. I want to let you know that Robert Klein is going to be part of Marx Fest. Now, this is a festival devoted to the Marx Brothers. That's been going on for a couple of days. It's this weekend. And then tomorrow, Robert Klein, the great comedian, is going to be interviewed by journalist Jason Zinnemann, and that's happening on West 51st Street. Just look for Marx Fest. Go Google it and find that event. Want to let you know also that tomorrow, Becca Kidwell will be singing at Don't Tell Mama on West 46th Street. And then on Monday, the Chita Rivera Awards occur at NYU Skirball Center, LaGuardia Place. I tried to get Chita Rivera on the show a couple of times. Never happened. Not gonna happen. She died. But the Chita Rivera Awards go on. And among the stars who are going to be there are Ben Vereen. And Vereen was on our show a few years back. So yay for him. I want to let you know also on Monday night, Steve Ross, the brilliant cabaret performer, he is going to be doing a show called Finding Words for Spring, and that will be happening at Birdland this Monday night. Karen Mason, the singer and actress, she has a new cabaret show that's being called More Than All the Sky, and you can see that at Green Room 42 all week long from Monday through next Sunday evening. And then Sally Mays on Wednesday, she is directing our brand new friend from last week, Carolyn Montgomery, in her show at 54 Below. And Carolyn Montgomery is channeling, Peggy Lee. Whoops. No, not Peggy Lee. who was it? Like Peggy, Rosemary Clooney, of course, girl singer. I'm sorry, I should have written that down. Anyway, that is Wednesday, this Wednesday. So 2 friends of the neighborhood, Sally Mae's directing Carolyn Montgomery. And then also on Wednesday, and then I think this is the last Wednesday that you have a chance to see this, Tammy Faye Starlight is doing her show as Nico, Velvet Underground Nico. That's at Joe's Pub, 425 Lafayette Street, downtown New York. And then coming up towards next weekend, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's Penny Arcade, Ishmael Reed, and Austin Pendleton. It's an Austin Pendleton alert, ladies and gentlemen, because all of them will be taking part in the 29th annual Lower East Side Festival of the Arts. And it's all in and around the Theater for the New City downtown. So check that out, the Lower East Side Festival, featuring 3 of our friends, Austin, Penny, and Ishmael. Neil Berg has written the score for a new musical called The Sabbath Girl. You have 1 more week to see that, and that is at Penguin Repertory Theater in Stony Point, New York. So you have to travel a little bit for that one. But you can be right in Midtown and see Jose Rivera's new play, The Hours Are Feminine, and that is at Intar. Intar is still around. I think they had a big redo, in fact. 500 West 52nd Street, playing now through early June. Julie Halston is in Breaking the Story. That's off-Broadway at Second Stage, the Kaiser Theater on West 43rd Street, now through mid-June. And Gabriel Barry is directing the Bruce Vilanch musical with Dolly Parton's music. Here You Come Again, and it's moving all over the United Kingdom to different cities. So check if you're going to be on the West End or near the West End or traveling through England, maybe catch that new musical from Bruce Vilanch. Alan Lewis Rickman is appearing in The Actors. That's on Theatre Row now through June 1st. Now through June 2nd, you can catch stand-up comedian Jimmy Tingle and his show Humor and Hope for Humanity, being done at the Soho Playhouse on Van Dam Street. Let's see, what else? My God, we just mentioned Gabriel Barry because he directed the Vilanch musical that's in England. He also directed A Sign of the Times, which is playing through June 2nd off-Broadway at New World Stages. On Broadway, Lilias White is still in Hadestown. Alan Menken's music flows through Aladdin, and then his music is also heard off-Broadway in Little Shop of Horrors. Tuesday nights, Seth Bisson-Hirsch does Seth's Talent Showcase at Don't Tell Mama. K.T. Sullivan is at the Algonquin on Tuesday evenings. And then we come to Birdland. Vince Giordano and the Nighthawks play 2 shows on Monday evenings. Eric Comstock and Barbara Fasano hold court on Tuesday evenings. Jim Caruso's Cast Party every Monday night at Birdland. Okay, pause this. Okay. All right. Oh, it's about bunions.
It's bunion treatment.
The worst part is it's about... Yeah. Oh, it's bunions. And then not last, but certainly not least, we'll let you know that Michael Garin plays piano at the Roxy Hotel in Tribeca Tuesday through Saturday evenings, and he live streams it on Facebook. So if you want to get that feeling of being in New York at a cocktail hour, a high-level Algonquin place, it's the Roxy. Michael Garin is your guy. StageBuggy.com is a website about New York nightlife founded by our friend Evan Seplow. David Sheward writes for TheaterLife.com, CulturalDaily.com, and my own TotalTheater.com. Vicky Quaddy is doing, she's on a plane, or she was yesterday, because she's bringing Late Night Catechism and Are You Smarter Than Your 8th Grade Nun to all these different places now. I think she was in Colorado, and so she normally does it, though, at the Greenhouse Theater in Chicago. If you've never seen it, you got to see Late Night Catechism. From co-written by Vicky Quaddy. Charlie Gross and Leslie Hoban Blake do 2 on the Aisle. You can watch that on YouTube. Dr. Demento still doing Dr. Demento shows at drdemento.com. And please read Phil Mushnick in the New York Post, writing about how sports has been ruined by gambling and media and television and everything else. And those, my friends, my goodness, are the friends of the neighborhood. You know, and it's this time of year, especially like mid-spring, when just everybody's doing everything, and there's so much that the Friends of the Neighborhood segments get shorter and shorter as we move in, past the Tony Awards into July, August, when everybody flies the coop. But I do enjoy doing it. It's such a proud thing for me to list all these people who've been on this program and all the things that they are doing nonstop creatively out there in the world. Well, speaking of being creative, sometimes I do things that are creative but just a little bit off-center and quite a bit naughty, which includes the Colorado Limerick of the Damned. Now, we lived in Colorado for about 13 years, and during that time I decided, I don't know why, to write silly poems about as many different places in Colorado as I possibly could. And as I always say, some of them are pretty simple. Greeley, well, it rhymes with really and feely and wheelie and whatever, and other Vale, nothing's easier than Vale. But some of them are tougher, and I go through periods when it's easy for me to write these things and harder, depends on where they are. Well, I found another one this week. I've got almost 300 of these now. 300 Colorado Limericks of the Damned. And I call them Limericks of the Damned because not only are they poems, but they are generally and intentionally gross, sick, tasteless, offensive. Any horrible adjective that you could throw at them, they're there. Because they're limericks. Because they're supposed to be a bit raunchy and risque. And because when I do something raunchy and risque, I don't just push the envelope. I tear through it with my teeth and give my tongue a paper cut. So ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be going to Agate, Colorado. There's a place called Agate, Colorado. And unlike the last couple of weeks, where these were ghost towns that existed in the early 1900s and kind of faded away by the 1940s after the gold rush and the mining rush and the mineral stuff. No. Agate, still around. Although whether it will be after my limerick, that remains to be seen.
A limerick is a comic verse of 5 lines, in which lines 1, 2, and 5 will end with words that rhyme. And likewise, verses 3 and 4 also end with words that rhyme. So this is a limerick. Rocky Mountain, Colorado, Colorado.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, our limerick. So agate, A-G-A-T-E, you've heard of it. It's a rock. It's a mineral. It's an unincorporated community in central eastern Colorado in what they call Elbert County. And hey, for those Coloradans who know, it's near Lyman. Just letting you know that. And it's interesting because I had to look this up in terms of the pronunciation for agate. And Lyman is one of those ones where it was a Spanish word. It should be pronounced limon, but Coloradans who say Colorado instead of Colorado, they do think there's oh no, it's not Limon, Colorado. No, it's Lyman. And so agate could have been pronounced differently. I had to check how it's pronounced, but it's agate. Population is about 450 people. They do a lot of ranching there, but it's close to Denver. It's not a very far drive. So housing prices are pretty expensive. It's already like a suburban-ish community too. It was originally founded back in 1881 when it was called Gebhard, but then they changed it in 1882, and there's literally 2 different possible reasons why they chose the name. One, because of all the minerals they found in the ground, among them agate, or, and this is why I was wondering about the pronunciation of the name, they had a big gate, a wooden A gate, because apparently across the gate is something that looks like the letter A. So maybe back in the day they pronounced it Agate, Colorado, or Agate, Colorado, because it had a gate. Honestly, I'm not making this stuff. This is the lore of Agate, Colorado. Anyway, in recent times there has been building both north and south of the railroad tracks. I don't know if there are people in a tent there or a law truck, but Agate has 3 cemeteries plus hiking, fishing, and it is exactly 5280. It's 1 mile high. So let's join the Mile High Club, shall we? And yes, get the kids out of the room. This is offensive. Right? Here we go. our Colorado Limerick of the Damned for Agate. And you can probably see where I'm going with this, Colorado. The cops found a corpse down in Agate and called in the ME to bag it. When it was dissected, they found it infected with AIDS, because it was a faggot. I need a cymbal crash on that. You knew that was coming. Please send your offensive and anonymous letters to davesgoneby@aol.com. davesgoneby@aol.com. Yes, it's still an AOL address. I still have it. I don't even. davesgoneby@aol.com. I try and read everything that I get. I sometimes reply if I can. You can also post messages to me right on the Facebook page, just under the show, or you can message me directly. The Facebook page, of course, is Dave's Gone By, as you know, but it's davesgoneby@aol.com. The email address, RadioDave2, is the Twitter feed. And then also David.Lefkowitz is the Instagram page, which we finally started boosting up a couple of weeks ago, hoping to boost our viewership and such. Want to remind you, even though he's not on this episode of the show, that if you want to find out about Rabbi Sol Solomon, his website is shalomdammit.com, D-A-M-M-I-T, shalomdammit.com. And one more pitch, since I was talking with Jessica Taghaff 6 years ago about my playwriting, as well as the podcast and everything else, if you want to read my plays and my interviews and the other things that I do that are not the radio show, but physically written down, just go to the website, davelefkowitz.org, davelefkowitz.org. All my song lyrics, my one-act plays, my full-length plays, the interviews that I've done. I just did an interview. Nothing would make me happier than to broadcast the interview that I did earlier this week with comedian Kathy Griffin. It was the wildest ride, perhaps, that I've ever had with someone that I've done, but it's not for the radio show. I'm doing it for Long Island Woman. So in a couple of months, it will be published in Long Island Woman, and then I'll be able to publish it on davelefkowitz.org. It's very much worth reading. I only wish I could show you the video. She was absolutely amazing. If you're holding a grudge against her for what, and you have every right to, for the picture that she took and the Donald Trump thing, was horrible. If you hate her, if you will never forgive that, you will forgive her, but you got to read the article when it comes out in Long Island Woman, and then when I put it on davelefkowitz.org. Anyway, that is just about the show. I think I've told you everything you need to know. davesgoneby.com is, of course, where all the archives are, as well as archive.org, and the audio on castbox.fm. Plus, we have a YouTube page. I mean, it's just, if you just Google Dave's Gone By, if you search for me, you're going to find a lot of stuff. But the first place to start is davesgoneby.com. Anyway, that, is almost 20 after 12 in the early afternoon, live on this Saturday, May 18th, 2024. This episode has been called Playing Tag. It has been our 944th episode of the show. And then next week, I do intend to return to do the 945th episode of Dave's Gone By, a mix of humor and culture and interviews and craziness and zaniness. Thinking and hoping we'll be able to bring Rabbi Sol back next week, but we'll, and Bunyan Watch and more Greeley Times and more banter and more fun with my wonderful wife. So it just remains for me to thank you so much for tuning in this week and every week, for telling people about the program as we inch closer to that, that 1,000 mark. Honestly, if you think about it, if I get to 948, we're only 3 shows away from our 948th show. And then if we do a show every single week, it will be a year that we will hit episode number 1,000. I can't even imagine. I can't even think about it, except I'm starting to think about it. But be with us every step of the way. Melvin G. Mintz is Potato is. Hi. Even Axolotl, who came out of the rain today, is. So, be with us every Saturday from now until then on Dave's Gone By. Hope you had a fine Mother's Day with your mamas. Hope you're having a good week. Not really sure what else to leave you with, except, just press on through whatever issues you're having, whatever miseries and difficulties you're coping with. They are on some level temporary because, hey, we all die. So, until next week, don't miss your Dave's Gone By. Have a fine one and gone by.
Days gone by, they're gone by. Days gone by, they're gone by. Days gone by, they're gone by.
Well, I don't know if this episode was lucrative, but it was certainly fun.